Okay, well, you need to start with yours because
okay,
mine won't make any sense.
sure, that tracks. I was saying before we started recording, because we have this terrible habit of talking before we
Yeah,
record, what were
we
we
sure
thinking?
were.
Well, let me back up, actually. So I went for a haircut, which is why my bangs are now too short. She cut them too short, and now I look like a baby.
That's the worst, but then they'll grow out perfectly. That's what I
That's
tell myself.
true, but we went out, my friends are in town, and we went out to dinner yesterday, and we, like,
Yeah.
got very dressed up, and we went out for drinks, and I was like,
Like,
"Take pictures of
hi,
me for,
I'm
like,
baby.
like, hot pictures," and I had
Yeah.
had them, like, brushed to the side, and when you first,
Yeah.
like, brush them, they look very nice, and they, like, kinda just, like, to the side. That's
Mhm.
the exact that's the technical term. But then in the pictures, they've gotten kinda, like, greasy and pointy, and, like,
I
they look
hate that.
insane,
Yes.
and I'm like, "Well, I just look deranged." Anyway, that wasn't the moral of the story. The moral of the story is that in the summer, I like to do fun things to my hair, but I'm always afraid of bleach, so I would do, like,
Yes, I
temporary
can't.
pink ends, because 'cause I'm not gonna do anything that will damage my
Mhm.
hair, but I like the idea of pink hair. And this summer, I was like, "Tinsel, we're doing it." But I can't do it myself, so my poor mother who was not expecting to spend her afternoon doing this. I showed up with, like, strands of tinsel already tied through the beads and was like, "I need you to, like, put these beads in my hair and, like, lock them down." And she's like, "What's wrong with you? You're gonna look like a Christmas tree." So
Yeah.
now I have pink tinsel in my hair. I don't think I look like a Christmas tree.
I don't think you do either. I thought you just had a very shiny necklace. When we were recording our last one, I was like, it's like poking through because I couldn't see it from the front. Now it looks like tinsel. Now it's taking me back to high school
It's
days.
oh,
But
take me back to the I
I
can't
do,
remember.
I do
Oh,
not know.
my.
Oh my. My story, because you were
Yes.
talking about like dyeing your hair pink, and our hair is
Sure.
like pretty much the same color. It's like pretty dark.
Mhm.
And so like again, I'm too scared of bleach. I'm not gonna do
Mhm.
that. I am like I would like it, I think, for the first little bit, but then it would start to grow out, and I couldn't deal with that. So
Yep.
like I had to Google what they were called. So the Beanie Baby company had dolls. They were called tie dolls.
Okay.
And I had them growing up whenever they were, like, big because you could, like, play online and stuff, and the one that was Hannah, she had, like, black hair, and she had, like, a pink, like, stripe, like, Avril
Mm.
Lavigne-esque, and I always wanted, like, a pink stripe in my hair. I mean, I never did it, so it's, like, a childhood dream bucket list item,
Mhm.
um,
You can
because
get a, like, clip-in
I
extension.
should. I had the very cheap ones from, like, the arcade that I
Sure.
really tried to pass off that were, like, fake, very fake hair.
Sure.
Um, but that was honestly just my story, was that I have never done anything to my hair like that. I
Mhm.
mean, we did see the one terrible haircut I got that I linked in the show notes that one time, my little
Sure.
mustache bangs.
Sure.
So, your bangs aren't that short, but they're not a mustache yet.
They're not quite there, but
Um
they are, like,
Oh, yeah.
borderline micro bangs.
Yeah,
Like
mine are too long, so they're on the opposite ends, but when I was first cutting mine, I would just, like, go way too high because 'cause I'd just be like they just grow so fast, and so
when that
I
was
just,
the
like, couldn't see
stylist's
anyone for, like, a
thing,
week.
like, yeah,
Mhm.
you turn into a sheepdog. Well, the problem is she cut them, like,
Yeah.
she dried them straight so that she could,
Oh.
like, straight down and then cut from
Mm.
there, like, which I guess is normal. However, I'm somebody who, like, round brush kinda, like, dries them
Oh,
out
so
a
then you
little
need them a
bit.
little bit longer.
Right, and she was like, "Well, I'll cut it,
Oh.
like, a little short so that then, they won't, like, be too long tomorrow," and I was like, "Sure, sure," except now
Mhm.
I
Yeah, no,
look like I have a bowl cut.
I know the feeling, and then you put your hair back, and it's literally just bangs. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel
Yeah,
that.
and you look like a little
Um
Victorian boy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I
Yeah.
literally after the mustache haircut, I didn't get my hair cut for, like, 4 years because I was traumatized, and then my uncle started dating a hairstylist, and she is still with the family, and so,
Perfect. It's
God
all
bless
coming together.
God bless because I finally got my hair cut, and she's been doing everyone in our family's hair ever since,
I
because it
love it.
was unreasonable of how long it was in high school, and then now
That's
it's back to
valid.
that, like, it's longer. I mean, my hair is the longest it's ever been just because, like, I just don't go anywhere, and I'm like, "Yeah, but no, I have to get it cut soon because it is too
Mm,
long. I sit on it,
mhm.
and that's just unreasonable."
Oh,
It gets caught in everything. I'm like, I can't even, like, go in my car without getting it in the car door. Like,
mm.
at what cost? And it's just
At what
heavy, it
cost?
hurts. Yeah.
Mm.
I can't
Yeah.
I can't even put it in a ponytail. I'm like, Like, I just don't,
That's
I
a lot.
can't. Yeah,
That's a lot.
it's bad.
I used to have pretty long hair, and the first time I cut it, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. And it's like, I like having shorter hair, but my hair, like, the texture of it, it's not like, it's pretty, it's thick, but it doesn't really have much body or whatever. But when it's shorter, it, like, poofs up and it, like, curls in, and it gives me, like, a weird bob effect. So the longer, like, weighs it down, but then it also just, like, weighs my head down.
Sure.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown of 10 million pounds of hair.
My, like, when I was younger, I distinctly remember really wanting the feathers when that was big, feathers in the hair.
Yeah.
Which, actually, when I was looking into the tinsel to, like, figure out how to do it, I saw somebody be like, this is, like, the 20 whatever equivalent of, like, the feathers. And I'm like, fact, am I going to look back in, like, 5 to 20 years or whatever and be like, wow, can't believe I liked it. I don't care.
Well, it's
because
not
you know
permanent.
What?
I mean,
well, I know, like, it's just like a silly trend that you're going to look at pictures and be like,
yeah.
wow. I don't care though. Because I wanted a feather in my hair so badly, and my mom's like, no. But they used to, they had the ones that you would, like, get, like, in your hair, like.
I should just get a wig. Like, I just couldn't. I mean, I don't know where I'd put all my hair under the wig. I'd look like
I was gonna say
weird A-shaped head. I mean, I did have the dreams of being Hannah Montana, so I can, you know, I would like to live that life at one point, but.
The Hannah Montana thing always makes me laugh because she would just, like, take her wig off and her hair was out under it.
It was great. Yeah.
Not how wigs work.
Do you wig? I went to the Hannah Montana concert and I had a blonde wig on, but I hated the bangs so much that I just kept, like, getting them off to the side. So it was, like, very unfortunate. And now look at us now. That was my first concert. Wow. Hannah Montana, best of both worlds. She was both Miley and Hannah.
Wow.
Riveting. It was a great concert. It really was. I just found all my Miley Cyrus fan club stuff in our garage. And I was like, oh, those were just cut, pasted pictures of Miley and Cody Lindley. I'm like, okay. What was... And I found... I, like, hand wrote all the lyrics to If We Were a Movie. I'm like, I had the album booklet. Why did I feel the need to write them out in pencil, double spacing the lines?
It's about the drama.
It was. I mean, if we were a movie, you'd be the right guy. I'd be the best friend that you'd fall in love with. In the end, we'd be laughing, watching the sunset. Fades to black. Yeah, that song. That one's.
Well, speaking of our childhood dreams.
Look at that.
Things we wanted as children. Welcome to Romance Your TBR.
You were frozen for a little bit, so I was just waiting. And then all of a sudden, you were still frozen, but a burst of "Welcome to Romance Your TBR," and I was like, yes, that tracks. So everyone at home needs to know that.
Yes. I don't know. Kids.
Kids. We are doing an episode
I'm so sleepy.
on the best kids in historical romance. There are so many.
Say, in case I am extra unhinged, I'm running on like 2 hours of poor quality sleep.
She's
several cups of coffee and
liquid IV and a dream. The dream
we almost
didn't
record tonight.
Into a nightmare.
I was like I had dropped my friends off. We had like gone out the night before, stayed up super late. We crashed in like reclining chairs in the media room. I did not sleep in a bed. I am too old to be doing this now.
Her old bones are creaking.
I'm only 24, but I'm already at a point where like I can't. I need a bed. I need to be laying flat.
I'm at a point where I don't want to waste a night of sleep not in a bed. Like, it's not that I can't, like, I can sleep anywhere, but I don't want to waste a night of good sleep because I'll have to wake up and go to work. That is also valid.
So, well, and I also can't sleep not laying completely flat. Like, I can't sleep on planes or anything. Like, I can kind of doze, but it's not good. Anyway, so no sleep. Club. Bus.
Sleep tonight.
Another club. Crashing on your couch. I wish I could remember that whole Jean-Ralphio quote. Anyway,
I know. I don't know what it is.
You don't know the Or no, it's not Joanna.
No, I don't.
It's Lady Gaga. Sorry.
I don't know what like the full quote is, but I know what.
Yeah, it's that vibe.
Yeah. But there's a John Ralphio one. He's like,
There's
girls,
one- yes,
that.
they have the same energy.
Yes.
Because suddenly I'm homeless. I always get them mixed up. Yes,
but no, I
think
think John Ralphio is correct.
Liquid IV.
About
I dropped
sleep.
my friends off. I got it. I dropped my friends off after we recorded our other episode that we recorded earlier today. I was like falling asleep. Not like I was fine to drive, but I was like, bro, like my eyes hurt. I'm so tired. I made it home. I like staggered in the door. My dad is like, did you have a good time? I was like, yes. He's like, you should go to bed. I was like, we have to record a podcast tonight. He was like, maybe you should think about canceling that and going to bed. I texted you because I still had to take a shower, but I was like nauseous and my head was hurting and I was like, my eyes
Showers while nauseous are
no. It's because you're like hot and it makes it worse and it's the like
heat
steamy. Is bad. Yeah, it's bad. So I'm like trying to mentally hype myself up. So I like popped a nausine tablet, texted you, was like, I can't.
You're like,
I'm dying.
I was like, that's okay, go to bed.
And then I powered through. I took a shower. I got out. I felt fine. I guess the nausine kicked in and it magically took care of the headache too. So I got out of the shower and I ate. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to die anymore. So here we are.
It would have been perfect if you would have supped on bread and cheese, the all-purpose revitalizing.
I supped on a breakfast taco from this morning that was from, we have a really insanely good breakfast taco place. It's the best place in the whole world. So I ate that, and then I ate a bunch of chips and peach salsa from, we went strawberry picking yesterday at this farm, and they had peach salsa, and I was like, banger. So dinner of champions, and now we're chugging liquid IV.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, girl.
It's like pulling my hair out of me sitting on it. It's like, yeah. Hype squad.
So deranged energy in the studio this evening.
In the studio. I wish I had a studio. It'd be so useful. Yeah.
So I am the one and only, the delusional, the exhausted Caroline.
I don't quite know how to follow that up.
Well, are you also delusional and exhausted?
Yeah, I guess I am. Yeah. I am also the delusional and exhausted co-host, Hannah.
And this is Romance Your TBR. We're rounding up our favorite children in historical romance.
Yes, we are.
I don't know if this is a hot take or one that's just like kind of divisive. You are or you aren't.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the majority is, if there is one, but I know some people like really hate kids in romance. Yeah. I eat it up. I don't even care if it's just like kind of a plot device. I love when there's a kid in a romance novel.
I know. Me too.
I love forcing usually the hero into emotional intimacy. Because that's what it's doing most of the time.
It's just, because it can go along the lines of like either just the hero interacting with kids, even if it's not like his own kids. There could be wards. Like there are so many different ways.
So I broke down.
Yeah, I have a lot.
I listed.
Yeah.
Like these are the ones
Rex,
that like, there are some other ones that have like kids in them, but like, meh. So I wrote down the ones that I like.
Ones.
Well, that like either the kid didn't play a huge part or like I just didn't really like it didn't really matter. So I wrote down the ones that had kids that I like remembered enjoying. And then I broke it into categories. And these are my categories for kids in historical romance. We have the two categories that are most likely to potentially lead to like a custody battle plot, which I don't think I have read, but I've heard you talk about.
Yep.
And that is wards and a single parent.
Yes.
Usually like a widowed parent, although not always. So there's wards, single parent. You have much younger siblings or half siblings.
Yes.
That you end up having to raise. There are street urchins /
yes, there are
adopted children that you found.
Oh yes.
Let me see. Wards, much younger siblings, street urchins, illegitimate children is its own little category, which kind of like can overlap with the single parent thing because you usually end up with one parent that is responsible, but like it feels like its own to have like a bastard child. And then in my other like kind of catch-all category, my other category usually ends up being the two that I have are heroines who run like orphanages.
Mm-hmm.
Which feels like kind of like you could kind of consider it like maybe a ward or
Well,
single parent situation, but
I've
it's its
got
own.
the one where the hero runs an orphanage, so I'm right
Oh,
there with
that's
you.
intriguing.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's
he's
its own.
hot. Oh yeah.
Interesting. So I wondered, do you have any other like? Are there any of yours that like need their own other category other than those?
I do have one. Well, I have heroes good with kids.
Okay.
So I've read several that we'll get to that are just like heroes are very good with kids. They maybe don't have them themselves. My category of like older children goes into the like siblings or wards and stuff.
Yeah, that usually if they're older. Well, and it's also like at what point, because like the earlier Hathaway books,
I was wondering. I was like, how do we? Yeah.
Like to me, they have to feel dependent.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I have one category with one book of its own because the book deserves to be on its own, and it's hero is vexed by a kid. And
is that not just street urchin?
It sure isn't in that book. It's hilarious. You haven't read it yet. When we get to it, I have talked about it before, but like that kid played a role. The hero was so annoyed.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to? So
there are so many. I'm looking at this list. Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm thinking we're not gonna go in depth on plot. I know we fell into that trap in season one when we would do roundups. But I think we just talk about the kids themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Like just like reminding myself as much as anyone else about why I picked them.
Sure.
I don't know.
I feel like it might be fun to go category by category.
Yeah. Yeah. You
start off. We don't have to. Yeah. Because there are some. We'll try to be quick. We make no promises because
that's a promise is no.
That's true. That's so valid. Which category? What are we?
Let us. I mean,
what's my least favorite? I love all of these. Maybe let's start with the kind of like other orphanage type situation, where it's kind of a unique one because I've only got a couple.
Yes,
and I'm intrigued by your hero.
Yeah, because I don't think you've gotten there yet in that series.
Okay.
Should I start it out?
If you want to, go for it.
Sure. Well, it is. I mean, you're not gonna be surprised once I say it, but it's Thief of Shadows. Winter Makepeace. He
one of mine is the first Maiden Lane.
Yeah. Book. So he runs the orphanage, and I mean, Winter Makepeace.
I'm excited for that book.
Yeah, one of mine is who gets deflowered in very hot ways.
Good for him, honestly.
It's great for him, really.
That's what he deserves.
And her. He was so eager to learn. So,
excellent.
Serena, I think the name is. I don't know. It's been a while. I have to reread it. Just for rereading favorite books purposes.
I totally forgot about Winter Makepeace.
Shadows. Yeah. I mean, he's just so good.
I love that. Well, so one of my two is why am I blanking on Wicked Intentions, which is Temperance, I believe is her name, and she also like they run it together. So that's her book, and the kids are fun, which is one that like the kids don't necessarily play a huge role.
Yeah,
like individual kids don't, but they like really create stakes.
Well, yeah, because I mean, in the Thief of Shadows, there's like a whole battle of I think it's the one in Duke of Sin. I think he's like randomly in this book trying to like take over the orphanage. There's shenanigans. But he's just cute with the kids because he's like the little like headmaster.
Love.
And then he's freaking Ghost of St. Giles, so he's just dressing up in a Harlequin costume.
As you do.
Just like prowling the streets.
Sure. Well, the first one, I think the orphanage gets set on fire by the villain.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The drama of it all.
Yeah.
And then the Ghost of St. Giles shows up and like catches her.
The heroine's name is Isabel.
Not Serena or Selena.
No, I don't know. I don't know where I got that from.
It'd be like that sometimes.
It do be. It do be. Oh, what was your other one?
No Good Duke Goes Unpunished by Sarah MacLean.
Yes.
That is the one where she is supposed to get married to his dad and is like kind of forced into it at a very young age, abusive situation. That is the one we chatted about it on Twitter because she intends, you find out later, to just imply that he took her virginity and she's run away. To, like, try to get people to not go after her because she's, like, damaged
That's
goods
what
or
that
whatever.
was, yeah.
But she doesn't know. She's, like, a 16-year-old. She doesn't know how much she's gonna bleed, so she pours, like, a pint of pig's blood on the bed. So he wakes up after being drugged in her bed, not realizing that she was his father's fiancée, by the way, in her bed, covered in blood, and she's gone. So she accidentally framed him for her murder. But it's never been proven, obviously. But everybody thinks he's, like, the murderer Duke. And she, meanwhile, went off, and they end up coming back together, and she needs help or whatever.
That's amazing.
But
I can't wait. I can't wait to get to that series. Because I'm like going through just reading them physically, so.
Sure.
You
know, it was... That's one that, like, some people really hated that book. They hated the heroine. I had such a fun time, but she runs, like, an orphanage for boys. So, like, that's why her stakes are kind of high. She can't afford anybody finding out who she is because and not just orphans, but they're, or actually, they're not orphans at all. They're usually the bastard sons of aristocrats who don't want anybody to know about their byblos. So they just kind of, like, drop them off there. So they don't play a huge role, but there are some very cute scenes where, like, he comes to the home and, like, kind of teaches the boys things, and, like, they have very cute, like, she comes outside and he's letting them climb, like, all over his carriage. It's very adorable. There are some really cute scenes, so I like that one a lot. It was very sweet.
Aww. I guess to go with that, we could go Heroes Good with Kids.
Sure.
Because that kind of, like, ties in with that.
Yeah.
I mean, Scandal in Spring,
That was the
Matthew
only
Swift.
one that I could think of.
Yep. Making that little teething contraption, and everyone's, like, just like, what? Like, this guy is just calming this teething baby. It was so hot. Love that for him and the baby and everyone else, especially for Daisy. She's lucky.
That was deeply sexy of him.
Yeah, it was. We've also read A Love by Design, where what's his name? Where he, like, gifts Grantham, where he gifts all the gifts to the baby,
like, really elaborate, impractical, impractical, expensive gifts. I forgot about that.
I thought that was very fun, so I wanted to include that.
That is a great bit.
In Not the Kind of Earl You Marry by Pembroke, he gives his, like, nephews, like, a piggyback ride, and he's very cute about it. Yeah,
I forgot about that scene.
I know.
Oh my god,
I know.
He's like riding around pretending to be a bucking horse.
My ovaries exploded.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that took me out. There's one I just read by Grace Callaway. I have a few others by her because that entire series just has a lot of kids in it. But this one, The Duke Redemption, literally, it's like a plot theme throughout that people can just, like, hand him children and they'll just, like, love him and stop crying, and then he'll just, like, he had, like, triplets at one point, just, like, all over him, just, like, just completely, like, soothed and calmed. So that was very fun for me to read.
Okay. Honestly,
and they just it was very iconic. And then I feel like the other ones you're going to talk about in different sections, so I feel like that's probably it. But Scandal in Spring is my standout one, and that one just because it's my standout book. But,
like, if I was going to add that category, that was the one that I would probably have in there. I'm not thinking of any off the top of my head.
No, and then I also lied at the beginning. I do have another category.
Ooh.
That is heroes being restricted from seeing their nephews.
Ooh.
Which
that is so specific.
Which you read Artfully Yours.
Yes.
And that was, like, a whole thing, like, he was kind of struggling with not being able to see his very cute nephews, I believe. And then
it was just the one nephew.
It was just one nephew, and then the other one was
I think he also had nieces, but they weren't, like,
too. Okay.
Sick.
He just had a really, like, cute bond with the one.
Because he was sick.
Yeah, and then because then he related to the sickness, and then he needed to get him out of London. Yeah. And then The Ruin of a Rake by Cat Sebastian. You saw the child in like the earlier books, but in this one it was like the last in the series. The guy had like a terrible reputation. It was ruined by the other heroes' like writings about him. And so one of his punishments was that he couldn't see his nephew anymore. So then he needed to, I know, of like God. So then he needed to like redeem his reputation, hang out with the other hero because he could like save it. And then he was able to see his nephew at the end, and it was just so sweet. So that's a separate category-ish.
Gotcha. I actually do have another like kind of bonus / falls into the like other category, which doesn't even really count because there aren't actually any kids in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really rare, especially in historical romance, to see a hero who really wants kids and like really wants a family. I think.
Oh God, I do love that.
And Marry Me by Midnight by Felicia Grossman, which comes out in August and is a forever book. Standard disclaimer. Although I think by the time this episode airs, my internship will officially have ended.
That's actually this Friday. Mm-hmm. Oh my God,
this is my last week as we're recording.
The end of an era.
Truly. But Marry Me by Midnight, which is the Jewish gender swapped Cinderella retelling. So Aaron is the hero, is the Cinderella character. He's like an orphaned synagogue custodian. Which, by the way, he, like, takes care of, there's, like, a little family of mice and birds and things that live by him, and he, like, takes care of them and gives them names and, like, feeds them, and, yeah. Okay, so there's already that, but also his, like, main motivating force is that he really, really wants, like, a wife and children. Like, he really wants a little family to provide for. And he, like, desperately, like, kind of beats himself up because he feels like he'll never be good enough that anyone would want to marry him and, like, trust him to provide for them, which felt, like, so rare. I feel like usually a historical romance hero distinctly doesn't want kids until he, meets the heroine.
God, now that you say it, I feel like I've definitely read a few. Not a lot, but a few. But,
like, it stands out when you do. Maybe you can, like, add them in show notes.
If I remember.
If you think of them.
That's a strong if.
Sure. But that was one that, like, it wasn't even just, like, kind of a casual, I would like children. He was like, I want a family so badly and to, like, bring them to synagogue and take care of them. And I was like,
another like subtrope of that. I'm reading The Bareknuckle Bastards by Sarah MacLean, and we're doing an episode on that with a special guest later, whenever that one gets published. But in each of the books, all of the heroes make reference, and even I think maybe some of the heroines, about the having like children who look like the mothers. So like,
I do love that
when they're like the little like, hero red hair babies. It's just so cute.
They each want a kid that looks like their significant other.
Yeah, because then the heroine also has the thought, and then it's the opposite, like looking like the hero. Oh, sure. Yeah, that goes straight to the old hormones. So, the
old hormones are acting up again.
The old hormones. That is, that's, I've just noticed that in every book in that series. And it's in a lot of other ones too, but worth mentioning.
Absolutely. I think the ones that I have the fewest for, I would say Illegitimate Child. I actually only have a couple. And one of them is Flowers from the Storm, which we will talk about. Well, we have talked about, but the episode is next week.
After this one.
So,
what else?
I mean, really say much. And Lord of Scoundrels, which we also have had an episode about. But, like, feral, the way that child-father relationship makes me feel.
Unfair. Quite truthfully.
Unhinged.
I was not prepared for that. Unhinged.
That's me reading.
I was not prepared.
And it gets me every single time, not just the first time, but
it gets worse
when he walks in and he's like, Mama is gone, I'm Papa. And the first time Dominic calls, he goes, Papa, and Dane like ceases functioning.
I just like keep thinking about this little like the pump handle scene when he's like running around and like and then he gives him the shirt
in his shirt and it's too long.
Like, the shirt, and he's like, did you put a baby in her belly?
Please, he's so funny.
Unfair.
It's just us weeping over Lord of Scoundrels for yet another episode. So those are my two illegitimate children.
Oh, what else do we have here? Oh, his Lessons on Love by Kathy Maxwell. I don't remember much. I have to admit,
Okay.
I had to go back and reread my review because I had made this list when we were going to do this episode before, and that was before the HarperCollins strike. But he gets delivered a baby by his mistress, so it's like his child. But he like ends up with the baby, and he's like, "What do I do now?" So then he enlists the help of a local spinster
Of
to
course.
help him. He's like, "I'll pay you to get the life you want." And she's like, "Honestly, yeah." And then looking at the summary, it looks like there's maybe like a marriage of convenience, or like they have to get married for some reason. But I remember I liked it a lot. It was cute. Very low angst. So that one, that's illegitimate. What else? That's kind of different, but I guess I can kind of go for it. Enter the Duke by Grace Callaway. They have like a one night stand. That's really hot because she just writes really hot books in general. That series was like just whacking you with sex scenes, just like constantly. But that one, they have a one night stand. He's a duke, and then she is a barmaid. She gets pregnant. He doesn't know. So it's like secret baby. She has to get married to like an archaeologist or something. Or is he like he's like a treasure hunter. So then fast forward, the duke is in dire straits. He needs money. He gets left a treasure map by his uncle, and he has to go to the small town, enlists the help of treasure hunters. Lo and behold, it's Maggie. And then he sees her daughter, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
something's not adding up. Like,
Mm.
when was she born? And then she obviously like lies, and she's like, oh no, it was my husband's. And then like halfway through, he's like, no, this child is absolutely mine. But then he has a really like
Mm.
smart decision. He's just like, I'm just gonna wait until like Maggie tells me, um because obviously everyone knows it's his, like we all know it's his child. But it was just very emotional, just how it was handled. And I didn't actually think the book was going to work for me, but it surprised me. I had a good time. And always a treasure hunt's fun, but that one, so it kind of illegitimate, kind of not.
Yeah, like
um
technically it is, but it's not your
yeah.
typical.
Mm-hmm. What else do we have here? Kind of the same with Aphrodite and the Duke, I guess.
Oh
um
yeah.
yeah, because it
Is it?
yeah, spoilers, I guess, if you don't know. Basically his first wife was pregnant, and
That's
then
right.
she married him, and he married her, but he was already like engaged to Aphrodite. So then when they broke it off, she was really hurt. And then he like raised the daughter as his own. But then when
Right.
Aphrodite gets there and they get married, then the daughter's kind of like sectioned off, and you're kind of like, what is going on? She just thinks that it's because he doesn't want to like offend her with the child of another woman. But then you find out all that stuff, and it's very cute. And I really liked the relationship between Aphrodite and the child. So again, legitimate in eyes of the court. No one assumes anything nefarious.
Right.
Um,
It's in there.
yeah.
It's like a similar.
Mm-hmm. What else? That's not legitimate. That's fine. Never Seduce a Duke by Vivian Lorette. That one, it's actually not a spoiler because at the end of the summary, I just didn't get to that part, so I was surprised when I read it, when I read the book. But it's in the summary. They have it's a very weird book. It's very fun. He thinks he's like found a magical like potion that made him like really horny, but it wasn't. He was just horny. So he
He
like
was just horny. It's not magic. It's just horniness.
it's a very weird book. She has aunts who like steal things, so then they stole his like magic book, so then he has to like go retrieve it. They're on like I think they're on like the continent, and then they have like a one night stand or like a small affair. Fast forward 2 years later, she has a 2-year-old. He comes, he like stumbles upon them, and then he's like, oh my god. It was a very fun book. I again was not expecting the time jump and the at 55%. If I would have read the summary, I would have been expecting it. But so the child was technically like illegitimate. I don't think she like married anyone else or anything.
Mm.
Very cute kid though.
Oh, you know what? I have one that I put it in the single parent section, but now that I'm thinking about it, it technically does go in the illegitimate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a similar, like, well, this one's complicated, and I can't really talk about why without giving away a plot twist from earlier in the series, but basically, the understanding is that from everybody else in society believes she married this friend of her brother's and was widowed, and left with his child, but in reality, the father of the child is not who you think it is. But in the eyes of society, she's a widowed single mother. And that is Dukes Do It Better by Bethany Bennett. Also a Forever book.
You're right.
It's the third book in the Misfits of Mayfair series, which I thought that whole series was so fun. All three of those books.
I need to finish that book. I had like started it and then I just got sidetracked because there's no audiobook of it. So I had it like currently reading on my Goodreads for like months. I finally just was like to read. But I need to go back and read it because her books are really fun.
They're really fun. So it's like single mom. That's what I had it listed under. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's illegitimate. That one, she has a one night stand.
I was gonna say one night stands. It's kind of ish. He was like in port or something.
Yeah, they like hooked up. This was after she already had the kid, but she's like off living in this like little seaside cabin and like baking, and she raises like she's kind of just living her best life, which is fun because she was like a very society like debutante before.
It was it was just really fun how that all worked out in book 2.
Yes,
like it was.
Yes.
Oh god.
You see her make her mistakes and whatnot in the background of the books, and then she gets her book, and I love her. Anyway, so she hooks up with this like hot Navy captain who's kind of a pirate who you met in book 1. I
don't remember meeting him in book 1. I'll have to go read. Okay, I'll have to go reread from the beginning.
Well, spoilers for what's the name of that book? Any Rogue Will Do by Bethany Bennett. So you can click on the timestamp and jump ahead if you don't want spoilers for it. But the villain at the very end, I think it's like in the epilogue even, but like the very end of the book, they go to like forge papers and get the villain transported. And they go to Malachi.
Because he's got the bomb.
And there's a little, and I like kind of knew to expect it because I knew he was the hero of the third one, but there's a little comment where he's like, he like realizes he has a sister, and he's like, I think I'd like to meet your sister. And Cal is like, and you never will. And you never will. And then he transports the guy and like forges the papers, and then he sure does meet his sister.
That's fun. That is.
So end of spoilers.
I love the. I was gonna say like when you can have like a one night stand or kind of like a casual affair like in a historical romance, because that doesn't happen a lot.
No, it doesn't.
Obviously for reasons.
Yeah. So this one they like hook up, and then they end up both in London for like different reasons, and are like, you know what? Why don't we just like continue our affair? That was a hot one night stand. And so they do. But she has her little son who is so precious and adorable. And there are various scenes where like he's like a tattooed pirate basically, but he's like a Navy captain, but he's giving pirate. And he like teaches him how to like sail a little boat on the river, and like he just like bonds with the son. But specifically there's a scene it's towards the end, and it's after they hook up. And she walks into his room to find him sitting shirtless in bed, and her son has like come in and found him and is hanging out with him. And yes, and he's got these like elaborate sea-related tattoos.
Told me about this.
Yes. Oh, no. And he's letting the little boy watercolor the tattoos.
Do you hear that? I just punched a wall. My god.
I don't even I'm not into tattoos, but the thought of this like hot man letting this small boy who he's like very much bonded with and is like the like male, role model for him at this point, like letting him color in the tattoos.
Yeah, I can be into tattoos. Yeah, I can be. And in that moment, I am.
And in this moment, we are all into Malachi's tattoos.
Oh,
so that's my only other. Like, it's technically illegitimate, but it's also single parent.
What else? Do I have, like, any other... Well, no, I don't know where the Earl Takes All fits into any of this.
I also have it listed as... I put it in single parent because
single parent,
technically...
You're right. Let's just go there then,
she's just widowed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also listed it.
Because the times when he reads the little stories and they like make them up.
And also the way he just like immediately bonds with that baby and like keeps putting off telling that these are kind of spoilers, but like the way he keeps putting off telling the truth.
It's your fault if you are spoiled.
It's your fault if you haven't read the book.
Putting the blame on
Read the
you.
Gorilla Twin Swap book. I just like the way he immediately imprinted on that baby, not to be Jacob, but
he was put like, the doll in the Twilight jar.
Yeah, plot twist. But he's like, I just love her. Like, yes. I could tell the truth, or because I love this baby as if it were my own child, I could just keep lying.
Yeah. And he sure did until it would like hurt other people, and then he was like, I'll tell the truth. Oh, that book.
And then he didn't, and then he was found out.
That one gets me.
Well, so have we moved into the single parent?
I think we're in single parent
territory.
Now, yeah.
So the one, the only, Devil's Daughter.
Yes, I had that one elsewhere, and then I was like, I'll let Caroline talk about that one.
I think that's the ultimate single parent book for me.
That was my hero good with kids. It was in that section.
It's obviously.
He's everything.
I mean, he's everything. Yeah, he's everything, and we're just Ken. West Ravenel,
literally.
Like, actually, I don't have the words. I've said it before. I'll say it again. West Ravenel is one of the only romance heroes I've ever read that if I met him in real life, I would genuinely fall in love and want to be with him.
Yeah, he's great. No notes for him.
Like, quite literally, 80% of that book is just West, like, stepping in to essentially parent those two boys.
Yeah.
And being, like, perfect with them and, like, letting them play and being wonderful. Like, that's it. That's the whole book. Half of Phoebe falling in love with him is just watching him play with her children. And that's also all of me falling in love with him. And then, like, him dicking her down.
Obviously we have another one in that series in another section, but in that book, to keep the suspense going, when the Justin calls West dad, like,
I actually had to like pause the audiobook and screech.
Yeah.
And the fact no, because not only does he like call him dad, and
he has to.
They're like, huh? And Phoebe's like, oh, like, are you calling Uncle West dad? And he's like, well, I didn't want to call him Papa because he would get confused with my Papa in heaven. And then he's like, is it okay? Can I call you that? And West is like wiping tears away.
He's weeping.
He's literally like crying. And he picks him up and he's like, yeah, I would like that very much. And like walks away crying, holding this child. Stop.
Yeah.
Everyone stop. Turn the podcast off. Stop recording.
So that gets me.
Get this camera out of my face.
Another one, obviously, Tempest by Beverly Jenkins.
That's on mine as well.
Did just read that gem. That was fun. That was a fun time for us all, in many regards. But
I like revisited a little bit of it because I just read the Colt Sisters story, Spring. I read her book. And so you get a little bit of like, in that one, Regan has a baby, Colt Fontaine. And so you get like her with Anna and the baby. A little bit. Now. Not a ton.
Just like anytime Anna called Regan mama, or like Colt would like talk about like his girls, like it just did something so emotional.
Me. Well, especially because, like, you know, that, what is it, her aunt that had been kind of, like, taking charge of her and was, like, so awful and strict and, like, really mean about it.
That was horrid. I mean, but I loved that ending. I mean, my God, I was, like, I was like, yes.
Well, but just, like, Regan being like, let's get you some, like, clothes that you can get dirty in. Let's get you a pony. Let's, like, teach you.
And she was so powerful.
Oh.
Like, I just love how she took no shit. She was so strong. Like, I loved her so much. She's I'm, like, starting a list of, like, my favorite heroines, and she's at the top.
Yeah, I loved her Regan. So much. This is one of those, like, another one of those, like, heteronormative things that I absolutely love is a babylogue. And not if it's, like, characters who have said they don't want kids.
Or can't have kids for medical purposes
and, like, magic
miraculously have them,
Right. I don't want any of that. But, like, if they're characters who, like, have wanted kids or are open to them, I eat up a baby log
Oh,
every
yeah.
time.
And the reveal,
Every
that's what
time.
I eat up. I eat up
The reveal is great.
the, like, "Oh, are you, like, prepared to change some nappies?" Or, like, "It's a
Yes.
family of 3." Or,
Yes.
obviously, the delivery when you have,
The
like,
man
was
losing
it
his mind.
Westcliff just, like, or was it someone, like, yelling and doctors were incompetent and it was crazy? Was that in
It was
Scandal in
in
Spring?
Scandal in Spring. He, like,
Yeah.
sent everybody out to go to try to find a doctor, and was
Yeah.
it Matthew is the one that brings back the vet?
Yeah. Yeah. 'Cause he's
And that's why she's is it, the
Wit or Merit. Yeah.
Merritt is named after the
Mhm.
vet. The
Yep.
vet who delivered her.
Which that is a book that has a problematic baby
It does.
representation. I still love that book, but full disclosure,
It does.
it does have it was very, like, ambiguous. Like, she said she got, like, a doctor's opinion, but obviously the doctor was a quack. So, like, it's hard. But yeah. So, but I do love that book. It's so good. A little bit of amnesia, a little bit of face sitting, like, you got it all.
Sure. One of the other things that is absolutely, like, deeply heteronormative that I will eat up every time because of who I am as a person, and the way that it makes my ovaries feel is, and I think this is how it tends to go, is when the single parent is parenting kids of the opposite gender, and so the
Mhm.
either hero or heroine, like the love interest that steps in, becomes, like, the role model. So,
Yeah.
like, Regan stepping in to be that, like, maternal,
Yep.
like, feminine role model for Anna, and then vice versa, West being, like,
Mhm.
the father figure for them. And again, all of the, like, gender norms and yes. Do I love it, though, when
Yeah.
Regan steps in and is like, "Let me teach you how to be a woman?" Or, like, Flowers from the Storm, which, again, we'll get into later, but his whole,
Mhm.
like, I want you to, like, teach her how to, like,
Mhm.
how to
Be
not care
good.
what people think and how to, like,
Yeah.
be a good person, like,
Mhm.
I eat it up. I
Ugh.
actually I feel like do I have any where it's the opposite, where they only have one of not really.
There
Oh,
yeah.
I do have one, actually.
I
And
think I
there's
probably
also
do too.
one of my other ones, which I know you didn't like the book that much, but, the Rake. His
Oh, yeah.
kids, I
Yeah, they were cute.
love. He has
Mhm.
very cute little kids, and I really thought all of their little family outings were just
Mhm.
very adorable.
Mhm. She got, like, a necklace or something sometime, I think.
Yeah, they, like, bought it for her at
Mhm.
the little fair.
Mhm.
It was very cute. The one that I
I
have
agree.
the only other one that I have is Never Judge a Lady by Her Cover, also Sarah MacLean, and that one she has a daughter who's named Caroline, actually, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and so you
Uh,
don't have the, like, mother with a son or father with daughters where, like,
yeah.
the love interest, if they're the opposite gender, steps in, but it is
I've got one, I think. What am I what am I doing? I wrote it down
well, hang
somewhere,
on.
but I don't
You
know.
figure it out. Let
You
me
go,
elaborate
yeah.
on Never Judge a Lady by Her
You
Cover.
elaborate.
In the count by numbers, oh, okay, so this one's a hard one to talk about. I feel like at this point, if you have not read the Sarah MacLean, these, like, Gambling Hall books, and you
Mhm.
are invested in, like, there's a big reveal at the end of the third book. There's, like, a
Yeah.
mysterious character and you don't know who they are, and if you wanna, like, be surprised and avoid spoilers, skip ahead now. We'll put it in the timestamps. Just go ahead and skip to the next book. However, she, the heroine for Never Judge a Lady by Her Cover is a character from the previous series
Mhm.
who has a child out of wedlock at, like, 16. Like,
Mhm.
she's seduced. Uh, it's the, like, sister of the Duke from the third book.
Mhm.
And she kinda disappears and, like, goes off to do her thing, and then it's like, bam, she's back, and her daughter is kinda grown, and she's, like, re-entering the ton, kind of, but dealing with the scorn of, like, she has this kid. I don't remember a ton about said kid, but I remember there were, like, several very cute scenes. I don't actually think that the hero, Duncan, like, really interacts with her all that much, but when he does, he's, like, very lovely.
Mhm. I like that.
So, there
Okay.
you have it.
So the one I was thinking, so I was correct. when I said Between the Devil and Desire.
Mhm.
So that's number 2 in Scoundrels of St. James by Lorraine Heath. And like I said, all of them have something to do with like all the characters either like have children or adopt children or something. But this one, I talked about it in our Flowers of the Storm episode, I think briefly, or if it was like after something. But the heroine, her horrible Duke husband was just killed or dead or whatever. So it's like it's not necessarily a custody battle.
Oh.
But he is granted like full control over like all of the possessions, and then her like son is in the guardianship of like some like uncle or something. So like she is just screwed over because she doesn't have control of like her possessions, which are controlled by the hero Jack Dodger, and then her son, I believe, is like not also under her guardianship, which is just ridiculous. And so then Jack comes in and he's naturally good with the kid, and you know they bond and everything. And I think they end up either getting married so the custody can be settled or something. I didn't write a review because this was at the time of the strike, and I have just no review, and then I also didn't review it after that. So I do have to reread that series. Is like there are a lot of content warnings. That series hurts a lot. But they're all very, very sweet books once you get past some of the pain. Yeah. Just good old Lorraine Heathing all over the place, really. But I think like because the son needs like a better influence, and that would be Jack Dodger. So that's kind of where I was going with that. But I think that's all of my single parent ones.
I mean, we can jump into your favorite street urchins.
Oh yeah, good old Basil. Freaking
Basil is my main one.
Yeah, Basil.
Nobody takes you from me.
Basil's
You're my boy, Basil.
Yeah. Oh my God, chasing Cassandra didn't need to go that hard, but it did. I
mean, like
the levels of that book, really.
That's one that I think is a good example. So there's, I can't remember who it is. I think it was somebody that I follow on TikTok. I'm so sorry to that person if they listen. But they refer to like, I don't know if they invented this term or if it was just a term that I'd never heard. They might have come up with it. I have no idea.
I don't know what it is.
She has some term, and now I think it's like maybe it's an urchin.
Plot urchin?
Oh, it's gonna kill me that I can't remember. Whatever it is, she has this term for like kids who only exist in the romance to like further the plot or further the hero's development or whatever it is. Like,
yeah,
like the kid isn't really there for themselves. And I could see that argument for Basil because I think that my counterpoint is I don't think so, but I could see if you're like the only reason he's here is
devil
to like
advocating for.
Well, but like I think there's something to be said for Basil. Like teaches Tom to feel, and he like has to feel really deeply for Basil before he can like admit that he has feelings for Cassandra.
Yeah, in a different way. That's kind of Dane and his kid. You know, like
because Dominic is literally his inner child.
Yeah.
Sure. Counterpoint though, watching Tom Severin find this street urchin. And instead of just being like, get out of here, he's like so stunned that he would return his hat that blew away instead of stealing it. And then he's like, you know what? I'll hire you. It's also a good example of him like essentially healing his inner child because he like sees himself in Basil and is like, well, this was good enough for me. I was sleeping on a pallet and whatever in these people's house. And Cassandra's like, why don't we give him a bed? Why don't we like adopt him? Why don't we treat him with love and respect? And Tom is like, huh? My inner child deserves to be loved?
I think I need to go back and just start the Ravenels and just reread that.
It's a great series.
Just for some giggles. Because I sure do love that book, and I have not read it enough. I don't think I've ever reread it, which is honestly a crime. I don't know what I'm doing.
Is Tom the one who likes to be clean? No.
Well, would that?
No, it's not.
Is it?
Who?
Well, there was just that Wild West, the Out West one you read. That guy likes to be clean.
No.
The
There's
gunslingers.
one where
I think it is
this
Tom.
is gonna.
Isn't it?
No, there's
Yeah,
one where he has a swimming pool.
Oh, because they were always dirty.
Yeah, I feel like it was a Sarah MacLean.
It wasn't Stacey Reeves. It wasn't.
No. I am feeling like it was definitely Sarah MacLean, but he has like an indoor swimming pool because as a child he was like a chimney sweep essentially, which is super dangerous, but kids are the only small enough ones.
This seems like very familiar, and I don't know if I've read
Well, I've told you about it before.
That could also be happening.
But like he has to it's never judge a lady by her cover.
Magic.
He has an indoor swimming pool and they hook up in the pool. And it's because like he honestly watch somebody be like, that's not that book. It's been a hot minute, but I'm pretty sure he's the one who has an indoor swimming pool, and the reason he likes swimming is because he like obsessively has to be clean because he was always dirty as a child doing his like chimney sweep and other things, and his mom was like, there's no point in bathing because you're just gonna get dirty again. And I'm pretty sure it was Duncan West from Never Judge a Lady by Her Cover, and that hit. But the reason I always think it's Tom Severin is because of the like Basil is very much him as a child, and he like doesn't want to give him he's like, here, sleep on this cot in the whatever closet, and Cassandra's like, what are you doing, Tom?
Yeah,
Basil, my boy.
Basil. And then you also have the West and the Justin and that whole interaction in that book. Like, how dare her have two different father levels in that book? Like,
also, I love that it's not just like all at once he takes in this child. You like see him in stages.
Well, because he was not.
Oh, and there's the whole he has to like drag him to Garrett to like get the lice cleaned out of his hair.
Yeah,
and like he doesn't want to undress in front of the lady, and he has to like get in the shower with him, and like.
Yeah, I'm going through many stages of many things right now. Yeah, I need to reread that book.
We're feeling a lot of things over here.
Immediately needs to reread. Oh, good God.
And he's one who's like, he isn't naturally good with kids, or at least you don't think that he would be.
Especially not at the start.
But he's somebody who like, he kind of does what I do, where like, I talk to kids as if they're adults. I'm not gonna, I'm not good at the like coming on their level. I'm just going to pull up and be like, what is up, my guy? And Tom does the same thing, where he basically just stands there and is like, you need to take a shower. You're gross.
So, taxes.
It gives me, like, Dane and Dominic's energy with the shirt scene, where he's just like, you can't run around.
You're pump handle.
Naked. We don't say arse in front of ladies. Like, it's that energy.
Just how am I supposed to read new books when old books are so good? That's a great question.
It's a great point. What are we supposed to do?
My next one is the one that I thought I was talking about last time. Surrender to the Devil by Lorraine Heath. This one, they take in a street urchin.
Okay.
Which he is the hero of the Amnesia book, Once More My Darling Rogue.
The urchin is?
Yes.
Love.
So, and I read that book first, and that's one of my favorite Lorraine Heath ones. Literally so good. He has a giant ass dragon tattoo on his back because the guy who adopted the guy who adopted him owns the Twin Dragons, the bar or whatever, our gambling den, and then Drake Darling, the adopted one, grew up like revering him, and he was like so just in love with this new family that he had, and so he got the huge tattoo on his back. And then in that book he makes the heroine wash his tattoo. I mean, above what, like, is it all above board? Maybe not. Am I willing to look past? Yeah, it's a great book. So is this one. So I mean, I don't have much more to say. Franny Darling, that's where he gets the Drake Darling from. So she would be the Duchess, and then what his name is Sterling Mabry, 8th Duke of Greystone, which is a hot name. It's just them getting it on.
Sure.
She's surrendering to the devil.
As you do.
But yeah, well, because then you had like read in Once More My Darling Rogue about him being adopted and like how much of an impact that had on his life. Because he broke into the house and like stole a pocket watch.
I stole a loaf of bread.
One jump to the bread line.
Okay, not the same.
I know.
Different vibes. Deeply different.
Only what I can't afford. That's everything.
Yes, it means I'm free. No, prisoner 24601.
So then he steals the pocket watch and he thinks he like gets away with it, and then Sterling is like, no, give it back. And then he like takes him in, gives him a life, and then he gets a pocket watch, I believe, like from
now I'm crying.
Yeah.
Well, I have one other street urchin. Well, it's like street urchin, but not like the strictest sense of what you imagine a street urchin is. I mean, it's like children on the streets, but different vibes. You know, these kids on the streets, youths, street youths. Well, the youths are out and about in Beverly Jenkins' Through the Storm, because Through the Storm it starts during the Civil War and it goes through until after the Civil War. So it's a Levesque. I think it's like the oldest of the Levesque brothers that you really know. It's the one. It comes after Indigo because
Gotcha.
Hester and
it's that guy,
Galen. Yes, you meet him in Indigo.
Yeah.
He's the friend.
Yeah.
And then Hester and Galen show up in this book for a little bit. They like have dinner together and stuff. I love them. Through the Storm, I eat it up. It's a revenge seduction. You love to see it.
Ooh, I don't think I've really read a lot of actual like revenge seduction. I haven't read a full plot ones.
So this one, it's during the Civil War. She is a runaway slave, essentially. She's like, there's this whole like kind of plot line about like the women in her family and like the line that she comes from, and her grandma like honestly kind of pops off and like gives this prophecy and then sets the house on fire so she can get away, like, and like burns with it. It's honestly iconic. She runs off. She runs into Harriet Tubman, as you do. Harriet Tubman gets her to the hero. Sure. And he's like a Union soldier in like one of the black units. And so she ends up in this. Oh, now I am blanking on what it's called. Oh my gosh. It's Beverly, so there's so much history, but it's these camps of like formerly enslaved people, and like now they don't really know where to go or what to do with them. So it's these massive camps, and there's like there's a name for them, and now I am blanking on what it is.
You've said it before.
Google.
Let's see.
Oh, what's it called when it's contraband?
Let me just see contraband count.
What is that called? What were they calling the formerly?
Yeah, contraband camp.
Okay. Oh, we got there eventually. I'm so sorry, history majors. Yeah. So he's like in this camp for part of it. He is very charming. He's a Levesque. He's from New Orleans.
Yeah.
So they're like born free.
Just the way the Levesque name like rolls off your tongue, you just know they're
Levesque.
like sexy. Yeah, like it just does
I'm
something.
blanking on his like first name, but that's okay.
Yeah,
the point is he is like very attracted to her. Like he's very charming. They have kind of a romance. And then the camp is like raided. Something goes wrong, and she's like told by a friend, and like this guy is gonna get her out. Like there's a lot of things going on, and she ends up knocking him out. He's in charge of the like treasury, stealing the money and leaving. Not knowing that like the guy that she's leaving with is a Confederate spy. So our hero thinks that she is working for the Confederacy, and that's why she like knocked him out, stole the money. Yes, the drama. But then she ends up in New Orleans. She befriends the Levesque family, who she doesn't know initially. Like she's like working for this old lady. The old lady dies. She gets set up with this woman. It turns out to be his mom and like his brothers, but he's not there yet. Sable, Raymond Levesque. And it's one of those situations where he has to get married in order to fully inherit something. Someone died and left it to him, but only if he gets married. And so he comes back into town. She has not really told the family that she knows him, but now there's like some drama there. the mom kind of puts 2 and 2 together, so she's kind of like manipulating things. But basically, Raymond is like, "Hey, find me a wife." And the mom is like, "I've already got one." Sable's been lying about her name also.
Mm-hmm.
So the mom is like, "I've got one for you. I'm ready. Let's go." They meet. The drama. Raymond is like, "Unbelievable, but you know what? So be it." She's like, "All right, like, I'll marry you." But then he's like, "I'm gonna revenge seduce you, and then I'm gonna put you in a house as my wife and just, like, leave you there. Like, it's not gonna be a real marriage." But then he plays himself and falls in love. Okay, so the drama.
You played yourself.
Anyway,
Wow,
after all
fun.
of this, there are all of these, like, orphan children like, black children on the streets of New Orleans. They're everywhere. And also there's all of these, like, it's after the Civil War, and the, like, every black person has to have a job, and so they're being forced into the contracts that they can't read, and all of the Jim Crow things are happening, and so it's not good to be on the streets. There are these kids, and there's a couple, like a brother and a sister, that she keeps, like, trying to help, but they won't, like, come with her. Like, they can't quite figure out what it is.
Yeah.
And she ends up convincing them to, like, come with her, and they lead her to this camp of children that they have been providing for. So they adopt these 2, I think it's 2, maybe 3, as, like, their kind of kids, but then they also end up, like, founding an orphanage, essentially, for all of these other kids. But then, in the drama of the climax, I'm giving you the whole plot. The climax, the kids get kidnapped with her by, like, the guy who he was, like, planning on buying her when she was a slave, and he comes back, and he, like, takes them and forces them back into slavery on his plantation, and the drama.
The fuck?
I know, it's devastating. It's fine, they find him. Oh, they take care of it.
The look in your eyes.
The Levesque brothers deal with that.
Thank God. Amazing.
It's like they ride in masked. The drama is at an all-time high.
I love to hear that.
She, like, adopts these 2 children, and then also takes in, like, all of these other kids, and, like, founds an orphanage. I think. It's been a while since I read it, but I remember that. That was very long. However, I have a lot of feelings about Through the Storm.
I will be reading that at some point.
I just think it's such a fun book.
That sounds so... Also, it was so hard to find a family tree for all of the characters in Beverly Jenkins' books. It apparently just doesn't exist.
Rude.
The one that right? We have to. The one that, like, I linked was kind of, like, it didn't have all the books on it. And it didn't, like, have any specific, like, names or anything. It kind of just, like, told you the order to go.
Sure.
And, like, the 2, like, separate families. But there was one that someone posted on Facebook. God bless them. It was, like, 10 years ago. They couldn't figure out how to, like, upload an image that, like, was readable. And so everyone commented on it. This is blurry. This is too small. Re-upload. And she's like, I'm trying to upload a PDF. I can't do it. And so, like, you see them having the struggle of having this, like, made spreadsheet or, like, this, like, family tree. And I know someone has it because this person tried to upload it. But it was so blurry that I tried to, like, enhance it. You couldn't see anything. And I'm like, no one could figure out how to get this lady some help to, like, upload it. So, like, their entire conversation is still available on Facebook. You can see them all struggling. Rip. It was painful. I was like, okay, this is not what I expected.
Well, I guess if anyone listening has one, let us know.
Yeah, honestly, please.
So that's my other street urchin one. Oh, you know what it is? They, like, eventually get them to, like, come and live with them, but the boy keeps sneaking out. Like, at night. And they end up following him and finding this, like, camp of children that he's been bringing food to. Sorry, that was I, like, suddenly remembered that whole thing is how they find all of those other kids.
Oh, right in the heartstrings.
Right in the heartstrings, indeed.
Yeah. I have one more street urchin, and that, I don't know if I know you read the first one. It's Say You'll Be My Lady by Kate Pembroke. I don't know if you...
I have not read that one yet.
Yeah, so it's the second one, after the other one, not the kind of Earl you marry. So this one, Jem, the little street urchin, is just adorable.
The little street urchin.
The little street urchin.
Street rat. I don't buy that. This is our second Aladdin reference of the episode.
Let's not be too hasty. Rather
Why are you just saying the whole song?
I don't know. Oh God, I love Aladdin.
I think he's rather tasty. Is that where you were?
Yes. Yes. Gee, I think he's rather tasty.
I mean, and he is. That animated man was so fine.
He was. I love that movie. So they like found the kid in like a backyard. I read it so long ago. I think the heroine had a child who was taken from her, and she never found that child. So that was like her traumatic backstory, I think. And so I think when they found this child, I thought it was going to be hers for some reason, but it wasn't. It was just a similar age and whatever. But they rescue the child. I don't know if like the mother had like died or I don't know. But he was adorable and it was so sweet. And at one point he just like goes off walking with one of their like parents, like I think the heroine's father or something, and they just like go off walking and
Weeping.
Oh, little gem. He is so cute.
Every time Sebastian
Yeah.
I can never Kingston, the Duke of Kingston, at that point went off with his little grandchildren.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Or what book was it when the little was it Merritt's little breadcrumbs under the in Westcliffe's study?
Oh, yeah, it
When
was
you,
was
like-
it in Mine Till Midnight, that first
I
Hathaway
think so.
story?
I think so because you like
Because
saw
I think
her
that's
little
the
like
one where
crumbs.
he has the kid. Or like her little like dolls and things that
Yeah.
were in there.
Yeah, that
set
hurt.
up.
Yeah.
Westcliff, their kids, good dad.
Ooh.
And good mom, of course.
I have one late addition to the single mom or single parent.
Sure.
So Forever Your Rogue, I've talked about it a lot.
I need to read this book.
Yeah. So it's so long. So I understand. And there's no audiobook yet. I feel like they may make one at some point. I don't know. But it's another guardianship situation where the heroine's Cora, her husband dies, thank God. He's terrible, and then his like terrible relations want custody of the children, and they don't trust her because now she's a single immoral woman having these children, and they're like, that can't stand. And so then Cora goes to the only person she can think of, and he is the worst possible option because he is the most scandalous rake ever on that side of the Thames, and literally he's a terrible option. So she has to like restore his entire reputation before she can even like deign to marry this man, because like she needs, they're like, it's like a fake engagement. So they need to like pretend that he's courting her, which in all other men that may be fine, but he's literally so bad. And like the book is so long because like his growth is so great from start to finish. And so you see him start to like know her children and stuff. And there's one part where the little girl is afraid of dogs, and because like of a bad traumatic history. And so at one party, Nate and Cora and the children are there, and then someone says that there are dogs, and he's like, she hates, like, she's scared of dogs, and he like goes and runs, and like she runs into his arms and like protects her. It was, yeah, it did a lot of things to me.
Screaming, crying, throwing up.
He's a very intense girl dad.
I love
it was just, I know it, like, oh god, it was good. And I liked the custody battle in that one because honestly a lot of it just happened off page.
I also,
which I was
speaking
fine
of
with.
like girl dad as a concept, cringe, but do I love seeing historical men with their daughters? Yes. And their sons. Any babies, really. Any and all of them.
This episode, just literally all of them.
Yeah, any and all children. I think about, and it doesn't really count because it's just like a throwaway moment, and I think it's Mine Till Midnight where you see like Sebastian and Evie come with Phoebe. Like when she's still very little, and there's that little passage about like he like spoils the hell out of her and like dotes on her, and anytime like he is like one of the only, like she'll go to him and she'll immediately calm down if she's crying, and he'll just like coo in her ear and be like, oh my darling, like who's dared to upset you, like
yes,
my little princess, how dare they, oh the insolence. That was it. That was when I ceased to function as a human being. Well, and also Sebastian, even in his own book, just like loves women, and not in like a gross way, but like genuinely, like his mother and his sisters who passed, like just loves women and like really appreciates them. So like seeing him with Evie and then with his daughter. He's also, multiple people in that Wallflowers say it, but he's one of them that like when he has a daughter, he's like, well, I'm destined to be loved by many red-haired women.
Yes.
King.
Yes.
Oh, and I love him for it. That doesn't really count because it's just like a moment with his kids for this episode, I mean, but worth mentioning.
There's another one that I'm now kind of thinking about. It's kind of like tangential to the Felicia Grossman one that you mentioned, where he like really wants a family. Kind of separate from that, but still kind of related. In Seducing a Stranger by Kerrigan Byrne. Spoilers for this book. Just skip ahead to the next book if you don't want to hear them. But basically, I love this book. She's engaged to this guy she doesn't want to marry. So she's like, I'm gonna go to the Stags of St. James, and I'm gonna go find myself a prostitute, and I'm gonna go get dick down. To like I want to lose my virginity on my terms. So she goes, she finds this guy into the gardens or wherever, or like the pleasure gardens. I don't know. He's all dressed in black. For all intents and purposes, he looks like a prostitute, I guess. He's not. He's an undercover inspector.
I love mistaken prostitutes.
Oh,
looking at you, suddenly you.
Oh yeah, that one is so fun. Another one with pregnancies. So she comes up to him. She's like, "Hi, I'd like to buy your services. You look very handsome." And he's like, "What?" And he just honestly just goes along with it. He's like, because he's like been celibate for a while. He's got some trauma, and they just fully bang it out on that bench, and it was hot. A lot of times you get like falsely promised, like I'm gonna go be ruined, and then she's not ruined until like 200 pages later. No, honey was ruined, and she was also impregnated. But
only was she ruined,
but wait until you hear the rest of it.
Oh.
So they don't know each other's names. They go their separate ways. They're both thinking about each other. On the day of her wedding, her husband to be gets murdered. She is the top suspect in his murder. So this inspector has to then go and solve this crime where she's number one suspect. He sees her. He's like, "Oh my God." And then she realizes she is pregnant. So then he's like, "We have to get married." It's a whole convoluted thing. It's great. But in relation to that, he is just very excited to have a kid. Like there's like a whole quote like about because his past and just how having a kid is just like very emotional for him, and how he just was gonna like love this child, and it's just that book is so much fun. That series is wild. There were some really good ones that I loved in it, but that one was just so much fun. I did not expect like the sex scene at the beginning was crazy, and then also to just have her be almost convicted of murder, and then the secret baby, like it's just
You know what other books have like heroes that are excited to have kids?
Which one?
I can't remember specific, but several of Beverly Jenkins, because they have heroes whose like families have been, like I think Captured is maybe one of them, where like they are very excited to have like it's very exciting for them to have like the first freeborn child in their family since like enslavement. And so there are several. I'm trying to think of like specific ones.
Yeah.
And now I'm like fully blanking. Forbidden might have been one of them, because wasn't Ryan was a former slave.
Gosh, it wasn't that long ago, but
I'm like fully blanking on the specifics, but I know I've read several. Well, and Wild Rain is one that I read that was kind of interesting because Spring is a heroine who doesn't want kids, and that becomes a conversation because his family is like, when you have a kid, they'll be the first freeborn child, and Spring is like, I don't want kids, I will not be having them, so if that means you can't be with me, so be it. And it like causes, it's not a long fight, and it's not even really a fight, he just doesn't know how to respond, and like then he has to go, and there's like some drama, but he comes back and is basically like, that doesn't matter, like I love you, not as a brood mare, like I just love you, and that's fine. Which is quite lovely, but it reminded me of the other ones where like it was very meaningful to have a freeborn child. So I feel like those are ones where they really want the kids.
Gotcha.
Also, Beverly Jenkins heroes just tend to like love their wives' children and like imagine you said of the like little imagining like a little mini version of them. That tends to show up in Beverly Jenkins. On to another category, or did you have any more urchins?
No, I think that.
And other various tangents.
I'm all out of urchins.
All out of urchins. Well, I think I'm gonna save one of my favorites for last because I have a couple of good ones that you also I'm sure have. So let's do much younger siblings or half siblings.
Okay.
Because I mean, first and foremost, we've got Junebug McBride.
Yes. Yeah, this one, because I was like in my mind, I have like a category of like cute and prickly, crazy, like
sure,
like you
need the hero needs the heroine to help deal with the prickly sibling who's not pleased.
Yes.
Junebug's there's both.
Yes. Oh, Junebug.
I love Junebug.
Oh, my queen. My queen.
She's so funny.
Yeah. She is.
I mean, as a younger sister of much older brothers, truly so relatable of her.
We need to do an episode on Morgan. It's true. At some point. But yeah, Junebug, she takes the cake. She's amazing.
If you don't know, it's Kit McBride gets a wife and marrying off Morgan McBride. She is the little sister who's tired of dealing with her gross older brother Mountain Men. And so she not once but twice
orders them mail order
brides without telling them. I also, you get more of Junebug in the second one because, and I like her relation, like, I think it was a little bit too much Junebug for me at times, but I do like her relationship with Morgan a lot because she was so attached to him, as opposed to, like, she loves Kit, but she wasn't as...
Well, because Morgan is really her father figure.
Right.
You know,
she's
really...
very attached to Morgan.
Yeah.
And I really liked their relationship in that book.
Mm-hmm. And it tugged on the heartstrings.
It did.
Because he wanted to leave. Like, the premise is that he wants to get out of town.
But then he keeps, like, when he finally does, and he keeps, like, thinking about Junebug and, like, writing her letters and, like, wanting to tell her about things. Morgan, like, loved Junebug. Stop.
I weep. Okay, so we've got
that's
Junebug.
My biggest one. But then I have a couple
I have Up All Night with a Good Duke by Amy Rose Bennett. Mm-hmm. It's the hero's sister, little sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she is a little bit prickly at the beginning, like she does not want him because once he gets married to the heroine, are they getting married or like engaged or something?
No, doesn't he hire her as a governess?
Is she?
I think he just hires her as a governess.
Because they get compromised because they're found on the...
I don't remember the plot.
Yeah, they're like found on the couch and it was like pretty steamy. And so then she doesn't want... Because he needs her to like help shape her up for society, I think. So it's like kind of the governess. Because she was like she worked at a school. Yeah, and then she was let go because she liked to read scandalous gothic novels and stuff.
Right.
Or
she quit.
So she quit.
The headmistress was like, get rid of those books. And she said, actually, you can't fire me. I quit.
And so then she meets this guy, gives him a blowjob on a train. It's great. And then they get to...
no memory of this. Like a lot of the things you're saying.
That one imprinted on my brain.
I love that.
And then they get to his estate or wherever, and then his sister is kind of like a little bit of a jerk for half the book. She's got this dancing tutor who is like not good for her. Mm-hmm. The heroine's like, you gotta keep them separated. There's like a governess there who is Bad News Bears. She's kind of terrible. And so then things happen to the younger sister, and then throughout the course of the novel, they start to bond. And it's a very loving relationship by the end, which I really appreciated. And that's what I wanted from The Reluctant Countess by Eloisa James. I was hoping that horrible sister would, like, at some point be happy about having, like, a sister again or, like, something. and it never happened. And like I just was like, what are we doing? And so this book gave me what I needed there, which was just a very like wholesome relationship that started out rocky, but like they grew. Because I was annoyed at first with her, but then she, kind of realized what she was doing wrong and stuff. And then I don't know if she was in because I've read all the books in the series so far, and they're all very good. And they're all, some things from the first one kind of like pop up in the third one in interesting ways. So that's one she's like pretty old. She's not like, she's almost to have her come out, I think. What else you got? I've got
Well, I have one with also kind of older-ish siblings. Once Upon a Marquis by Courtney Milan is the first in the Worth saga. So this one, I haven't read the second one, but I did read the third, and I've read the various novellas that are in the saga. So I read the third one first, and that one is like the youngest brother of the heroine from the first book is like kind of grown. He's not like, he's like a young adult, I would say. But he's like kind of a side, like he's sailing around the world with the hero of that book. And there's also some really interesting, like, the other sister that you meet in the first book has kind of vanished, and he's supposed to be tracking her down for the heroine of the first book, the oldest sister. But in reality, he is trying not to find her and make it look like he's looking for her without ever actually finding her, but he keeps accidentally running into her. Like, so there's all these little side interactions, and I was like, who are these characters? Because I read the third one first. I was like, who are these people? What is going on? So I still haven't read the second book, but I did read the first one, and things make more sense now. So it's this family of, it's like 3 sisters and then a youngest brother. There wasn't, I don't know if he was older. I think he might have been like younger than the heroine, but he was like the oldest of the boys. And before the start of the first book, he and his father stood trial for treason, and his best friend testified against him, and got them convicted and like transported, and then they disappeared, I think. Or like I think the father was hanged and the brother was transported or something like that, but then the ship like he went missing at some point and no one's heard from him. So I have to assume the brother's coming back at some point, but I don't think he has yet. But they assume he's dead. In the aftermath of I think the mom was either already dead or died shortly after or something. So they're orphaned. The oldest brother is gone. It's not good. And she had like a kind of young love situation with the brother's best friend, who ended up testifying against him and getting him convicted of treason. So Courtney Milan is doing a lot here. And I will say the first book, like, I think the main criticism people have is like there's too much happening because there's so much backstory that you have to follow a lot of plot. So then you have, now they're living in this very poor neighborhood. She's like doing her best. She like makes clocks and stuff, or like little like clockwork things. And then there's the second oldest sister has gone off to live with some relative, and they have not heard from her. They think it was because of like a falling out, where like they were supposed to go live with this relative who they'd stayed with before, but he was really nasty to the younger sister, who's like kind of neurodivergent in a way. And so they didn't want to go stay with him. But then the other sister ended up going, and they haven't heard from her for years. And it turns out he got rid of her years ago, like sent her to this other family to work, and she's gone. They don't know where she is. Like, she's just vanished. So we have one sister is missing.
Got John Cena over here.
The next youngest is like very quirky. Like I said, she kind of reads as like neurodivergent, like kind of almost like ADHD, although it's been a minute since I read it, so I could be wrong about that. But she's got a lot going on. She's the one that in the third book is like running around, disappeared all over the world, and Judith is like, go track her down. And then you have the youngest brother who starts the book. He's like coming back from, I think it's Eton or something, like, one of those schools. And he has been horrendously bullied because their last name is Worth, and they call him Worthless because of the whole, like, his father and brother were convicted of treason. So he has been horrifically bullied. They come out to, like, an effigy of him on their front step. Like, it is fucked. Like, he is having a terrible time. And also, the hero comes back and shows up on their front step. The drama Oh my goodness. This was literally all just the setup of the book, okay?
Oh my.
So there's a lot going on. I can't even
And this is a
remember
novella?
what... She has to, like, go... No. This one's just the first book of the series.
I
But she,
was
like,
like-
needs his help with something. Like, she wants his help, and, like, he's definitely still in love with her. He's also, like, neurodivergent in some way, and I think he has some kind of, like, sleep issue or something that his mom is really judging. There's, like, some, like, different illness and things. Anyway, but Benedict Worth comes back, and he's like, I do not want to go back to that school. Absolutely not. And he and the sister are, like, absolute chaos that entire book. Like, afraid to leave them alone. She comes back, and there's, like, 1 million cats, and she's like, why have you adopted this many cats? Like, why do you just have all these kittens? And they're like, well, we found them. It is truly, like, chaos unleashed on the house when it's the two of them together. It's so unhinged. And then those younger siblings in the later book are the one that he's supposed to be tracking her down, but he's trying to not find her. It's unhinged.
Damn.
There's just so much happening. I also don't even remember the premise of, like, why he's come to talk to her and why she needs his help. Other than, like, I think she's trying to find the sister. Oh, it's, like, there's some weird legal stuff with, like, the guardianship of the other sister was left to, like, someone, but they don't know who, and it's a whole thing. So, I don't know. I had a good time, but chaos.
Chaos indeed.
Truly.
I have one that's kind of, like, along the same lines of a few others. A Duke for Diana by Sabrina Jeffries. I really enjoyed that one a lot. I had, like, done it for an ARC tour, and then I read it, and I was like, oh my god, this is, like, very funny and very good. So it's basically just he gets this dukedom. He was, like, I think he's Scottish, and he was not raised to be a duke at all, so he doesn't really want this title. And his sister needs, like, training to enter society and have a successful debut. So he hires Diana, who has like a company that specializes in that. And so she's basically just, like, hired to help his sister debut. And then it's kind of like a enemies to lovers. They don't get off on the right foot. And then obviously shenanigans ensue. That one was just really fun. Very light, fluffy audiobook. It just kind of blew me away by how good it was. I had never read Sabrina Jeffries before. She's been writing for a really long time. And you could tell that, you know, like, I think it just really felt like she had obviously a handle on the genre.
Sure.
And so that was one that I don't see get talked about a lot. I think it's from Kensington, so I do think it's in, like, KU. I think they have all of their, like, stuff in Kindle Unlimited, which is nice. And I don't know if the audiobook's there as well. But yeah, that's one that I need to reread so I can talk about it more in depth in more times, because it's a hidden gem.
Well, my only other one is an all-time favorite. Marrying Winterbourne, baby. Marrying Winterbourne. Well, first of all, just Helen's whole thing is wonderful, where she seems, like, kind of spineless when you first meet her, and then she pulls up and is like, nope, I'm going into this rough part of town. We're getting this girl who I've just discovered is, like, my half-sibling. No idea that she existed, but we're getting her out of that orphanage. And also, I can't tell Rhys, my engaged or betrothed, about it because he despises the man I've just discovered is actually my father secretly, and so he'll never want to see me again. So not only do you have him interacting with this little child, which I'll come back to that, but you also have him tracking her down at the train station and delivering one of the most iconic scenes / lines of all time.
See, I need to reread this.
Try it. Like, try and leave me and see how long it takes. Go to France, go anywhere and see how long it takes me to find you. Not five fucking minutes. The way that Rhys Winterbourne makes me feel.
The way the cookie crumbled.
So you get that already. The fact that he's like, I was made to love every part of you, or whatever that line is.
Kegged.
Or every part of you was made to be loved by me. That's what it was. Where she was like, but you hate half of me. And he was like, fucking wrong. Not a chance. Go get in the carriage. So you already have that. And then you have the little scene of him interacting with, she's named Charity, because that's like a common orphan name.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nope, we're going with the Welsh. Your name is Karis now.
Yeah.
And I love it. And she does the, like, she like digs around in his pockets and gets the, like, little candies and stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, but if you want more, you have to take a bath. Or no, she's afraid of water because of how they've done things in the orphanage. Yep. And they have the, like, he's trying to negotiate with her. And he's like, let's try putting, like, soap in it so it makes the bubbles. And he's like, there'll be just a tiny little bit of water and then this much bubbles. And she, like, pushes, or no, this much water.
Yeah,
and
then
she like pushes his hands together and he's like a born negotiator. Like, he's so funny. He's another one that it's like a very matter-of-fact approach to kids, kind of like Tom Severin, where he's just like speaking to her like a little adult. And it unlocks something in me.
We need to do an episode on that series.
That's true. That scene where she's watching him interact with Garrus.
Oh, because I have a question for you about it, but I suppose we should just wait until we do the episode.
No, because now I want to know the question.
Well, mine is just like, which book do you like better, Winterborn or Devil's Daughter?
Right.
Because like for me, mine is very.
This is my Sophie's choice.
This is your Sophie's choice. Because I was like thinking about it, I was like, wait, you have West Ravenel and you have Reese Winterborn in the same series, so you don't have to answer it now. You can
West
think
Ravenel
on it.
Or Reese Winterborn. Yes. Final answer.
The why I choose romance. We've all been waiting
for. That would not be a good pairing.
No.
That would be frightening. I don't even know what those dynamics would be, but not good.
I should go back and write some fan fiction and report to the class.
God, that would be a writing exercise. A why choose romance with a self-insert West Ravenel and Reese Winterborn. The two most opposite men in that series.
Oh God, that would be a good time. The next one I have is Duke Most Wicked by Lenora Bell. The hero is a Rake. He is a scoundrel. He's also got a few siblings. There's one who is definitely like already debuted. There's one who is like making her debut, and then there's one who's a little bit too young. There may be another one. They really reminded me of the kids from like Overboard or Nanny McPhee or Triple by the Dozen. They were just very chaotic. He like needs money. The heroine is their music teacher. And he hasn't paid her in like a year. She's down bad. She's got a real bad crush. I felt her. I felt her so bad. She needed the money because her father was losing his eyesight, so he couldn't write all the symphonies and stuff that he was promising people. So then she was doing it, but she was also teaching his siblings.
What did you say?
Duke Most Wicked by Lenora Bell. Okay. It's a Little Mermaid retelling, gender swapped, where he is kind of like Ariel. And then she is kind of like Eric.
Oh my God.
But then
the drama.
I know. Well, my review starts because I thought it was Snow White. And I was picking up a lot of Snow White references. And I messaged Lenora. I'm like, what is going on? And she's like, it started as Snow White. I morphed it into Little Mermaid. So you were finding like the Snow White references. And I was like, good. Because I was very confused. Because the first book is Beauty and the Beast. Love is a Rogue. So that's Beauty and the Beast, gender swapped. And then you've got The Devil's Own Duke, which is Cinderella, gender swapped. And then this one, which is Little Mermaid. I love Lenora Bell. I've said it many times. God, we need to do it. We need to do a fairy tale retelling episode too.
Well, I'm getting ready to do my like Fearless recommendations.
Yeah.
And I'm like trying to inhale fairy tale retellings because that's the like magical album. It's fine.
Gotcha.
It's gonna be very normal. You're gonna see my reading roundup, and it's like Eloisa James, Gareth Michaels. Apparently, these Lenora Bell.
Yeah. Oh, great. You're in for a good time because all of those books, I love them. Fearless is my favorite album. I love the deluxe platinum Taylor's version, which has like 30 songs on it. Not just the original Fearless, not just the original Fearless.
Let me just
Platinum.
If you can see on the
wall.
Oh,
yes, I can. I sure can.
My record
I see your
player.
record. Uh-huh. That makes my heart
I'm like,
happy.
time to listen to that on a loop to find the thematic ties.
Yep. It's the one in
Anyway.
my car. Oh. So yeah. So he has to get married. He picks out a fiance, and halfway through I was like, should I be annoyed at this? No, because it was hilarious. The daughters, or not the daughters, his siblings just really cause a lot of chaos and ruckus for this intended. And then the way that their engagement is broken up is quite funny. And her name is Vanessa, which ties into the Little Mermaid.
Right.
And just kind of like how, so she kind of gets her whole, like, it was fun. She's a great writer, and the audiobook was really nice. And yes, so there's that. And then I suppose we have Matilda Halifax.
Yes.
Because that's his little sister, right?
Yes.
Who needs the painting instructor, I think.
I think so.
I think it's his sibling. I think. It's
not his daughter, is it?
I don't know.
Because
she's kind of jealous. Or, well, no, she thought that Matilda was there for her to be her friend.
Right.
And then she was, like, ticked off when she found Matilda and Christian, like, together.
It's his sister. It's
his sister? Okay.
I searched the PDF.
Nice. That's why I love ebooks. Searching is so lovely. So we've got that
PDF,
one.
ebook. You know what I mean.
Yeah. I think I have a few
siblings.
Yeah. Do I have any more? Siblings.
Please, may I have some more?
Okay, so this one I still have to talk about. Okay. So then this one, A Kiss to Remember by Teresa Medeiros. I've talked about it before. But basically, it's amnesia. He has a very traumatic history with his parents. They, like, basically sold him to be a duke because he was, like, the last heir of this crusty old duke. And in the prologue, you see his mother and father, like, give him up to this terrible man because he needs an heir. And then the trauma is real because he, like, looks at his mom and he's like, you're giving me away. And she's, like, sobbing. And so he has a lot of unresolved issues. And in the future, in the future, the heroine has been writing to him on behalf of his mother, and he doesn't answer any of the letters. Finally, she's like, hi, your mother died. You're a shitty son. She's been asking for you. Thank you very much. Just wanted to let you know. So then he gets all angry, and he's like, I'm going to go to my childhood home where these people are living, and I'm going to evict them, and I'm going to take back the house. He gets into a horse accident. He gets chucked across a stream. He's unconscious. He's also hot. And so the heroine stumbles upon...
He's also hot.
It's relevant because the heroine stumbles upon him unconscious, but also hot. And she's like, wow, I need to keep this house because this guy is coming to take it from me. And the only way I can keep it that was willed to me is if I'm married.
I'm so sorry, but unconscious but also hot is also the premise of The Duke Undone by Joanna Lowell.
Yes.
He also is unconscious but hot. And that's critical. Both for the fact that he's unconscious and that he's hot.
There's another one. I don't know what it was, but it's more common than you thought.
Unconscious and hot. It's the Snow White premise.
It's more common than you think. And so then she's like, I need a husband because once I'm married, I can have this house, and my siblings, this is the tie, have a home. And so this guy wakes up, and she's like, hi, you're my fiance. We've been looking for you. And he's like, well, that's suspicious, but okay. Let's go home. And so then she gets home, and she has to tell all of her, well, I mean, I think she, like, drags him, and then he, like, wakes up in the bed. But she tells her all these people in the house, like her siblings and the workers, she's like, hey, we need to pretend this guy is my fiance. You guys have to pretend to know him because we need to keep this house. She doesn't know that he's the one who's coming to take the house away. And the siblings are hilarious because it's like a boy and a girl. The boy's a little bit older than the girl. The girl just wants to kill him. She is like, I do not want my sister to have to marry this man. I think that's bad. So I'm going to plot his murder.
Honestly,
She tries to poison him.
Little girls are so scary and unhinged.
Yes. It was hilarious. She got close. Like, she tried to push, like, a gargoyle off a fucking church on his head. She tried to poison him. And then she ended up poisoning the sister. So many things. The little brother was, like, there was, like, a arrow that almost hit him. Like, he kind of reformed a little bit faster than the little sister. But, yeah. They were hellions, and it was very fun.
I love
the
Wednesday
hero...
Addams.
Yes, absolutely.
There's another, we'll get to her in a second, but another child on our list with Wednesday Addams energy.
Oh, absolutely. Just fascination with death.
We'll get there.
And so this one was just so much fun. Because the hero, his entire thing throughout the book was that the heroine is like, no, we're celibate. We're waiting till marriage. And he literally is like, that's suspicious. Like, I don't feel in my bones that I would be a celibate person.
He said that doesn't track. The math isn't mathing.
He's like, you are so hot. Why would I have waited? I have done you such a great disservice because you are literally so beautiful. Why? What is wrong with me? What was I doing? Like, why did you put up with me? He was so confused because he's like, I just want to have sex with you. Like, that's really what I want, and I don't know why we haven't done it yet. And he did not believe that they hadn't had sex because he's like, you are literally, like, gorgeous. I cannot, like, why was I like that? That's embarrassing. It's a great book. It doesn't have an audiobook, so you have to read the ebook.
That's embarrassing.
He was embarrassed. He's like, I owe you an apology. Like, that's not how you should be treated. You should be, like, revered. Like, what? What was I going through? So yeah, that one is worth an ebook read without the audiobook. And it was just hilarious. I think I like docked it a little bit because it was just so fucking sad with like his childhood drama. But it's still a really funny book aside from all of that. And what a book. But I think that's all of the sibling ones.
So now we move on to the category that I have one, but then I have three total. One that's kind of meh, and two that are perhaps some of my favorite children in all of historical romance that I read so far.
Yeah. Okay, kick us off.
Well, the one that's not.
Well, what's
favorite.
the theme? I guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wards. Wards.
Wards.
So the first one is The 40-Day Governess by...
Ooh, yeah.
I actually don't remember who the author is, and I didn't write it down. The 40-Day Governess, it's one of the...
We have it on our Goodreads.
Yeah, it's one of the... Because I've talked about it before. It's one of the Regency and Color novellas.
I sure spelled 40 with a U. That's embarrassing for me.
It's a novella.
Mary Farmer.
Yes. It's the first one of those that I have read so far that I like actually really quite enjoyed. It's one that the hero, I think it's his nieces that he ends up like both of them or they're orphaned, and he ends up getting custody of them, and he has to come to, I think it's Jamaica, to like come collect them. And they are like little hellions, and they're getting ready to leave. And their governess quits. She's like, I simply can't. And he's like, well, shoot, I need a governess. And the guy he's visiting he has this housekeeper who's very clearly his illegitimate daughter, and everyone knows it, but no one talks about it. And she's, I think, Black, Jamaican, like she's from the island. And so his whole thing is it's like a 40-day boat ride back to England. He just kind of sends her off, which is kind of like a rough betrayal for her because she was planning on staying here, and she finds out he's planning on getting married and hasn't told this other woman about his illegitimate daughter. So he's like, go be the governess for the like 40 days ship ride, whatever. And then like there's some other aristocrats on the boat, so like this guy's the hero is gonna be trying to marry her because he didn't expect to inherit. He doesn't know how to be an aristocrat, so he needs like a good wife. So he's gonna be trying to marry this lady who's been widowed. And you can try to like get in her good graces and be her housekeeper when you get back to England. This is the plan. So they get on a ship and she's their governess for those 40 days, and they're super into each other. They bang it out during a storm at sea because they like kind of think the ship's gonna go under. Like they kind of are like, we're gonna die, so we might as well have sex. Like that's the energy.
Let's do it for our country.
Yeah, pretty much. And also there are these like fun, chaotic little girls who she's like got charge of. That are just causing chaos and wreaking havoc.
Ruckus.
So that's my novella.
Amazing.
And then, I mean, we both have my other two, so I don't know if you have any others that I haven't read.
I sure do. Well, I know you're going to be reading this because you're doing fairy tale stuff, and I pray to the sweet baby Jesus that you like it, because there's nothing more that I want on this earth than to do an episode on it. A Duchess by Midnight by Cheris Michaels. If you like the other books in the series, we can sure do a full episode on all the books. But A Duchess by Midnight, it's like quickly becoming one of my just favorite historical romance novels. I love it so much. The hero, his sister brings in, so he's basically got two wards now. They're a little bit older and they were in a cult. I've said it before. It's wild. So they're dealing with like trauma from this cult. Drew was one of the evil stepsisters in like a Cinderella like kind of like twist. She's still like has a relationship with Cinderella, who married the prince. So then the Cinderella sets her up basically with this duke and is like, hey, Drew needs these wards to train and go into society for her business. The duke just owes a favor to the prince that they like went to school with or something. And so they're kind of like forced together. And the daughters, one of them is like the one who really wants to debut, and she's like the beauty, and she is a little bit of a hellion. And then there's the other one who's like more bookish and quiet, and it's just his relationship with them is just so sweet. It kind of reminds me of the Christina Britton one just a little bit. And then like their mother's relationship with them is very interesting because she's like a good mother, but then she was also like in this cult, so she has to work through all of that. All the stuff you learn, the bird watching, because Drew just loves bird watching, and then like the bird watching scene is just one of the most iconic things like I've ever read. They get compromised, so they have to get married.
As you do.
It's just so much fun. They like sneak a quickie at the palace. It's just, it's a great book, and it's just the cover is beautiful. Like, it's the full package in my mind. It's funny, it's emotional, and God, the birds. Just gotta be quiet because the birds. Do I have any other ones that are wards? That one we're talking about, that one's kind of a different thing. Okay, I think we can just go into the one that or the next one, I guess, that you want to talk about.
Well, so one that it also fits into the younger siblings category, although that it's not really a spoiler because but like,
well, yeah, you know.
Yeah,
he's like being very dramatic about it,
right? But there's some like cover for it's like very shady how these children came into existence. Essentially, it's not good. But that is Some Dukes Have All the Luck by Christina Britton, which is another forever book. I mean, haven't we talked about this before? Oh, in the luck episode? We've definitely
St. Patrick's Day.
We've talked about it before, so I guess we don't have to say too much. But I just simply love. I mean, the whole reason for the Marriage of Convenience is to get a mother for these three girls, which already is fun because you have like the two younger ones who are very close, and then the older one who's really struggling.
That hurt,
Regina. There are like three different quotes from this book. The one where she like makes a friend for the first time and doesn't know what to do with it. And he turns to Bronwyn and is like 16 years old and never had a friend. Can you believe that? And she says, yes, I can. Or like, I can very well, or something like that. And you're like, 16 and never had a friend. So like there's that. And then also she's the one who had to go to him because the other two ran away.
Yeah.
And
So
so, like,
so
she
the
had to
so
go to
the two siblings are
him.
angry at her, so then she is, like, dealing with the loss of their parents and that sadness, and
And she, like,
then just
wants to be
having
close to them but
ugh,
doesn't know how.
no.
And
And
then
then
the
just
two
the
like, they're all just yearning for a family. Every single character in
yes.
that
That's
wants a family.
that's that's kind of how the Duchess by Midnight too, like, the 2 wards, like, don't think that he cares about them, like, they don't
Mm,
but they want him to care, and so, like, that it's, like, very emotional, when
sure.
he kinda realizes that, and so that reminded me of this one
Mhm.
where they were just like, "Please don't let him go away again, like,
Yeah. Well,
can't
and
he
then the hero
stay?"
doesn't want anyone to realize the association between
Yeah.
him and the wards for their protection, but also for his
Mhm.
own. And so, like, he tries to, and he thinks it's better to just, like, leave them in his house and go do his thing. And they, like, are acting out and can't keep it going. It's very Sound of Music.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so he's like, I'll just marry
Shall
somebody.
be female
Maybe a
dear.
mother will deal with them better. And Bronwyn is like, well, you know what we're gonna do is we're gonna hang out as a family. Like,
Family
because
fun
Bronwyn
time.
is
Fun,
Maria von
fun.
Trapp. She said, we are all
Mhm.
hanging out together. We are all going to the beach to collect fairy stones. So the other ones that
These
make me
are
cry
my
is when
favorites.
one of the girls, like, writes in, she's
Oh
writing in his
god.
mother's diary, like his dead mother. That's how they ended up on the Isle of
Yeah.
Sin in the first place, because they read in the
Don't
diary
remind me.
that it's, like, his mother's property on this island. And so he ends up getting, like, someone brings him this diary.
Mm.
And so he's reading,
Mm-mm.
like, all the entries of them, like, having, like, and she's like, "Oh, like, Ash and, like, took us to go do this thing," and, like, she's writing about how much fun they had and how wonderful it is, and then there's the entry for the day that he left, and she's like, "We must have wished on the fairy stones wrong, like, Ash has gone
Yeah.
away, like, we must have done something wrong,"
Yeah. It hurt.
and you're,
It
like,
still hurts.
sobbing.
Mm.
Because they all just want a
All
family
coming back
so
to me now.
badly, and these little girls think that they did something to drive
Something
him away.
wrong. And then he was like crushed when he oh my god.
We're all
Yeah.
crushed.
We're
Every
all
single
crushed.
character, we're all crushed.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of feelings. I just love the family in that book.
Yeah. Yeah, that hurt. In a good way.
It
In a
hurts.
great way.
It hurts so good.
Okay, John Cougar Mellencamp.
They just all love each other so much. They just want to be loved.
And
And then,
I
of
guess
course,
the one everyone's probably
yeah,
all been waiting for.
of course.
I mean, I have a few more, but like that one.
What do you mean you have a few more?
Well, there are a few more.
Oh my goodness.
But before we get to that, Governor's Game. A Governor's
course.
Game by Tessa Dare.
Just the funniest children in romance.
Funniest goddamn children ever.
I
Oh,
didn't even
Millicent.
love, like, the core romance. Like, it was good. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. I have nothing to say against
There was
it.
one too many breakups. Like one too many.
Yeah, I
like,
think if it had just
the end.
been them, I would have been like, meh.
Mm-hmm. But it wasn't.
But the sheer number of doll funerals.
That Millicent went through it.
Millicent really did. Rest in peace, Queen. You deserve it.
The Black Plague, pox.
Truly,
like she was
what a
down and
Wednesday
out.
Addams character.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember her name, but the girl.
Yeah, not a clue.
Well, I mean, they're both
Not
girls,
a clue.
but the younger one.
Mm-hmm.
She's so funny. Every time they, like, opened their eyes and the older one was there and would just be like, the plague, and then walk out.
And
Like, you're expected at the funeral.
He gets up in the middle of the night, eulogizes them, writes.
No, it's the way he, like, fully commits to it. Like,
He's
with
so
a straight
exasperated,
face,
but
gives a
like,
eulogy.
He loves them.
This, like, Rake, who's building his, like,
Chase
sex
Renaud.
dungeon. Like,
He really is.
it really, as soon as we saw him eulogize.
Mm-hmm. The first time.
Like, get up, be like, ugh, not again, and then pull up, eulogize with a straight face. Like, king?
King, indeed. I was not ready for that book.
I mean, neither was I.
And there was a cute kid in book 1. because it was when he was the vigilante kind of.
Yeah, that kid.
So there was that kid. And get this, there was another kid in book 3, but that kid was a goat. A baby goat.
God. Kids in romance, everybody. You know what? Dukes Do It Better on this list for the single mom also has baby goats in nappies.
3 dukes and a goat.
Oh my God.
Like 3 men and a baby.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a kid, and that hero sticks his entire elbow up that goat to retrieve that kid, bonds with that kid, and now it's his kid.
He sure does. 3 Dukes and a Kid is the alternate name for that Tessa Dare series, the girl meets Duke.
Yes, 3 Dukes, because he's not even a Duke, but his last name is Duke, so he gets a pass. Gabriel Duke, I believe it is. Nothing was better than all of those men in that room. Like, Ash was just spurting Shakespeare quotes. You have Chase just being like, I'm not shoving my arm up that goat. And Gabriel being like, God, I love her. I will shove my arm up this goat. And now I have a kid.
Whatever it was where they, like, looked and all, like, one of them started, like gagging.
Well, because Chase, I think Chase was like, I will do it. Like, Alex had a baby. I have seen this. He's like, oh God, no. I think it was that and not Emma, but it could have also been Ash. I don't quite know.
No, I feel like Ash was like, no.
He was out of it from the start. He was like, you scurvy-ridden cur. Like, God. Yeah. I just love that series for the vibes. It's not my favorite Tessa Dare series. And I don't know. Something about it, though, was just so fun.
I mean, really, it was like the cat in the first one, the deranged children in the second one who really just wanted to be also when she, like, looks in the trunk and uncovers the, like, the pack that the older one has been, like,
oh God, because they
run
away, and then one gets hurt.
But she's been, like, saving and, like, packing this thing just in case, and you're like, oh, my little heart can't take it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. The kids in historical romance will make you feel some things. They may be funny, but by God, they will they will make you feel something.
They will have you weeping on the ground.
Because the way that Chase, like, loses his mind when they run away.
She is cutting her tinsel right now.
I'm so sorry. I got really
I'm invested.
Distracted because they were longer than the other pieces of hair, and it was
no, I see it. I see it on the camera.
It was driving
me very brave.
Crazy. I just pull it out and cut it a little.
If there was a scissors next to my hair, I would. There's still one longer. Yeah.
Yep. I see it.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
Awesome. Hair appointment complete.
That was just. It was really gonna bother me. I, like, could not think about anything else.
No, I feel that. I don't know what else I'm feeling. I don't remember. So I guess that concludes, like, that section. And I have a few miscellaneous, but before that, we've got the hero is vexed by a kid.
Oh, yes.
And this is also Tessa Dare. It's one I've talked about.
Okay.
It's Do You Want to Start a Scandal? So basically, it's, like I said, it's, like, the last book in, like, 2 series. It, like, combines 2. And you've seen Charlotte's mother throughout the series, like, being very marriage-minded, like, really wanting to force relationships. So Charlotte knows that her mother, they're going to this house party. She knows that her mother is going to try to get this, I think he's, like, an earl. He's, like, a lord.
Oh, right.
He's, like, an earl, I think. So she, like, goes to him. She's like, hey, dude, I just want to let you know. It's, like, the middle of the night in a study. She, like, finds him, like, messing with a desk in, like, the Lord of the Manor's, like, office. And she's like, hey, I just want to let you know, my mom is going to try to, like, force us to get married. Like, I don't want that. You don't want that. But, like, you need to be aware. Like, stay away from her. Like, she's going to force this. He's like, what are you talking about? This is suspicious. And then they hear people coming in. So then they have to hide in this like window seat. And then people just start having like raucous sex right on the desk.
Sure.
And so then Charlotte's like, what is happening? Piers is like, ha ha ha, this is intriguing. That I'm with this very lovely and supple young lady.
Not supple.
And so then they just hear 50 Shades of Sex going on.
Sure.
And she smells the perfume. A garter is left behind. And so there's like a mystery of who it was, because once they like step out of the window seat and the people leave, this kid runs in. And he is screaming bloody murder about the murder noises that he heard. He's like, murder noises! That man was murdering her! And he like describes obviously sex noises. So everyone in the house like comes into the study. And they're like, well, you were trying to murder her sexually? As in, you guys were like having a tryst? Well, that's, you're getting married now, right? And so Charlotte is like, I know. And he's like, yeah, okay, we're engaged. So she, the entire book, tries to figure out.
Well,
who
you are
this...
very supple.
I had to have been one of his top 3 thoughts. I can't lie to you. So the entire book is her trying to figure out who this couple was so that they can confess and like prove that they weren't having a tryst, so that they don't have to get married. She wants her freedom. Meanwhile, he's like slowly falling in love with her. And he's like, I actually don't want this to, like, engagement to end. I want to get married. And it's a whole thing. But the little kid puts Piers through his paces. This kid is, like, he just thinks he's a murderer. He's like, murder noises. You have murdered her. Why were you doing this? He, like, foils, because Piers is a spy. He's an undercover spy. Have to add that in there. So then he's, like, foiling all of Piers's, like, spy maneuvers. And this kid, like, he, like, whacks Piers with, like, a big old stick. And Piers is like, I kind of want to whack you with the stick, but I can't because you're a kid. It's hilarious. He was completely vexed by that child. Edward or Edmund or something. It was just
well, you
so
know, little
funny.
kids named Edmund are always out here causing trouble.
Oh,
all for Turkish delight, and for what? Turkish delight isn't even very good.
I've never had that. I do not know what it is. Like, I've heard of it, but
it's like a little candy thing.
Huh. Intriguing. So that one is his own category.
That's fair. Vexing child,
because he truly did not know what to do. Tag yourself.
We're vexing
children. Like, he had no clue what to do with that kid. And he was so exasperated.
Honestly, that's kind of the Dutch's deal also.
Yeah.
Didn't Ash, like, not really know what to do
He did not want an assistant vigilante.
No.
Kind of like the Incredibles with Syndrome. But, like, this poor kid, he didn't go on to cause mass chaos and murder and destruction. He was just a cute kid.
Also, he's not a kid, but Sunshine, Jason Sunshine from the Gunslinger series.
Yep.
Again, not a kid, that's an adult man, but like
he's
same
got kid vibes.
He's like the just, fun sidekick. I love him.
Puppy dog.
I want him to have his own book.
I want his book.
I adore Sunshine. He's so funny. The way he just keeps popping up, and Gray is like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, why are you here? And the way he's just so happy to be there. I love him.
I can't deny that. So I have like one miscellaneous that doesn't really have its own category, I guess.
Sure.
Regarding the Duke by Grace Callaway, it's amnesia. So in the previous book, you see this Duke get like kind of grazed in the head by a bullet, and he gets knocked out. And that happens like 30% into this book, because he's like a very reserved husband. They only have sex on Wednesdays. He doesn't really he's not effusive with his love. He doesn't know his kids, like they love him and he loves them, but he just thinks that his wife is for she should be respected and not, I don't know, taken very aggressively from behind over a desk. And so they've only had like one very like crazy sexual encounter when he was drunk, and his wife Gabriella, she was real into it, but she was also really confused. She's like, he's never done it. Wasn't Wednesday. I don't know what was into him, but it was fun. And so then he gets hit on the head. He gets amnesia. He comes back, and not only is he like very sexually like skilled, like he like shows her in all these different ways. He's like, I was wrong apparently. Like if you told me we were only making love on Wednesdays, I'm gonna fix that, and now it's gonna be all the time. But 2, he was like repairing his relationship with his children. And like he got to like bond with them all over again in like a very sweet way.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they were his children, they weren't wards, like
Right.
you know, they were like older, like maybe like 6 or 8 or something like that. But it was just very sweet to see them have kind of like their old version of their father and then their new one, and then kind of like once he got his memories back and how we kind of like reconciled all of it.
Mm-hmm.
That one's my favorite of the series, just the amnesia and everything. I just loved it. But it was so sweet to see him like get that relationship back. And then 2 others that I forgot to mention in the single parent one were What a Difference a Duke Makes by Lenora Bell. He's a firefighter. Hot. Who knew there were firefighters in historical romances? He's like creating his own like fire like mobile like water hose thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his whole thing throughout the book. And he basically needs a governess to corral his crazy children. I was like saving it for like a prickly crazy kid segment, but that kind of like got absorbed elsewhere.
Yep.
And so they were just kind of like hellions, and they also like gave her hell in a fun and endearing way. So that one was great. And then The Scoundrel's Daughter by Anne Gracie. It's part of a series. I don't see that one talked about a lot. It's by Berkeley. So basically this woman's horrible husband has died. She's like 36 and not sad about it. But then she's getting blackmailed because she like had sent some letters or something. And so the blackmailer is like, hey, I have a daughter. You need to launch her into society, and I won't release these letters. So then she tries to find like, so it's like a twofold situation because the daughter does not want this. So like she's bonding with her in that sense. But then the lord that she's trying to set her up with has a friend who is a DILF. He's got like 3 kids. He's single, ready to mingle. And then so there's like 2 romances. There's the lord, and then Lucy, the daughter of the blackmailer, and then there's the heroine and her DILF lover. I don't know.
Her DILF. Classic.
I need to reread them.
Those DILF lovers.
I really did enjoy them. I think it was when Berkeley like sent out one of their like influencer things and was like, here, like they make your selection. And I had selected the second book in that series, so I went back and read the first one, which was this one, and I had a really good time with it. So I was like happy that I picked the second one. Both of them were very good.
Pretty much the entire time you were talking, I was thinking about how Sebastian, when he was the Duke of Kingston, is now a gilf.
Stop.
He's a grandfather I'd like to fuck. I'm so serious.
He could be
get
a
it.
kilf. He could be a kilf, a corpse I'd like to fuck.
Not
We're
a
gonna go. We're gonna get right into the necrophilia.
No, we already brought up necrophilia once. Elizabeth Everett is quaking.
Any form of that man.
Every time it comes up, we only confirm her concerns about me.
Or a different variation of the gilf, a ghost I'd like to fuck.
Ooh, I love
That's
a gilf.
maybe a little bit better.
Maybe for Halloween, this year's Halloween episode will be gilfs.
Yeah, I love that. Ghosts we'd like to fuck. Honestly. Yeah.
There are several.
I don't see why not.
Ooh, on that note, you got another?
No, I have another note.
Oh, okay.
This is a note of itself. The Secret Service of Tea and Trees and that epilogue. All of those specific children.
Oh, every single one. Oh,
every single one.
Yeah.
And so I just need to bring that
cleaning up.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
Ned
he's
is
like,
like,
"You
who corrupted my child?"
you've corrupted my child." I just need to iconic.
All dilfs.
All dilfs, all milfs.
All milfs.
Like,
Pilfs, if you will. Parents I'd like to fuck.
just together, just why
All
choose
of
all
them.
these pilfs?
5-way? No, sorry, 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
Many ways.
way?
Many ways. And it would be a great time because there's magic, there's piracy,
Oh my god.
there's spies. Like, a lot would be happening.
Unhinged. The Wilfs, the witches. Once again, we have Pilfs as alternative
Pilfs.
pirates I'd like to fuck.
Sylphs.
Sylphs.
Well, that just
Not
sounds
to be
sexy
confused
in
with
general.
sylphs.
Yeah.
With a Y and a PH. Cue
No,
the
just
Last
the
Bill
other
Feed soundtrack. And that's how we get to Always Be My Duchess.
We've done it.
Only
My throat
2.5
is so sore.
hours. We were like, yeah, for sure. We'll just like run through them. And then I was
Oh,
like, what if I
no.
told you
Oh,
the
no, I
whole
knew.
plot of Through the Storm by Beverly James?
The list, and we got through all the books. Like, there were so many books. And I guess why the fuck not? Joanna Goes Wild, Fair Hair, and Contemporary Rake. That's a great book. With a kid.
Anna Jam also is a
Co-parenting.
contemporary with a funny kid.
Look at that. We
She's
got two
super,
contemporary.
super traumatized, and she swears like nobody's business.
Mm-hmm. Sail on, sailor. So even a little bit for that crowd.
There you
If
have
you,
it.
for some reason, listen to 2 hours and 30 minutes of us talking, and you don't like historical romance, those two are for you. So, yeah. And all of these I will put into a Goodreads shelf.
Yes.
They will be in the show notes chaotically if there's even enough like character space.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes we run out of it. So like I will link the Goodreads shelf in that. Follow, friend us on there. Yeah. So I will like have them broken down in categories in the show notes. And again, you can access the show notes, like the Google document versions, via our Substack. So
Yes.
also in this show notes, the link to that, just tangled web we have woven with all of our links and recs and books.
We do be woven the weaving webs. I don't know.
Woven the weaving webs.
It is 11 p.m. and I have gotten no sleep.
It is.
I have slept like 2 hours.
No sleep tonight.
No, so much sleep tonight. I can't wait to sleep tonight. I'm gonna eat
so excited for you to
some
get to sleep
goldfish and go to bed.
That's a choice. I'm gonna go have a cookie.
As a side note, I have different stages of exhaustion, and I recognize them in myself. Like, I tend to get sick.
What stage are we in now?
I tend to get very giggly. Like, everything is really funny. And even when I don't think it's funny, I'm still laughing at it. And now that I've started,
She is indeed
I'm not
laughing.
going to be able to stop. I'm, like, crying also. Like, there are real tears streaming down my face. And my lungs hurt.
I can hear my tears streaming down my face, and I said I'll never let you go.
I haven't been this tired in a really long time. Oh my god, why am I crying?
Oh, she's just thinking about
I'm just thinking
Basil
about West Ravenel.
and Justin and West Ravenel and Tom Severin and Reese Winterbourne and every hero written by Lisa Kleypas,
okay,
honestly.
okay.
Matthew Swift.
I got it under control.
Westcliff is there.
We gotta pull it. We gotta end
Sebastian
this
St.
before I
Vincent.
start giggling again, Hannah. You can't. It's already happening.
No gilfs. No gigglers. No gigglers allowed.
What if I am not a giggler? You'd like to fuck. I can't breathe. You gotta stop. I can't.
We're calling Life Alert. She's fallen and she can't get up. Maybe we should call you can like set like the Guinness Book of World Records. There's probably we should create a category for the most books talked about in a podcast episode. And this has got to be in the running. There were so many books. And with that, I don't know. Yeah, hopefully you got some good recs. And
oh my god, I hope so.
And hopefully Caroline gets some good rest. But
we talked about so many books.